comparing Manchester United and their start to the season.
Josh.
A quick finishing few thoughts just on the game today, Matt. Just give me a brief 10-second finishing thoughts.
Concerning for United fans, elation for Spurs fans. I think this is just the start, the opening two games that Spurs fans wanted. Manchester United, in a way, nightmare. It could have been worse. It could have been like last season, but United are in a bit of trouble, Josh.
So, in the eyes of Matt Smith, they're in a bit of trouble, Manchester United. Saw the game on Monday against Wolves, very lucky to pick up all 3 points there. VAR was certainly wearing red shirts that night, weren't they? Now, yesterday, 2-0 defeat at Tottenham Hotspur. It really hasn't been a very good start for the Red Devils, has it? 1 win, 1 loss, and they are struggling at the moment. We will be linking up in just a few minutes' time with Tony back at Brila FM studios. You can get in touch, Twitter, Facebook, all the usual social media outlets. Give them a call as well. We'd love to hear from you. What are your thoughts on the Manchester United saga at the moment? Do they need to spend big? Do they need a big money signing, a striker to fill that void up front? Even Eric Ten Hag said yesterday in his post-match conference at the Tottenham game, they need a striker. Are they prepared to spend what with the owners just about to change hands? It's not looking particularly good for Manchester United fans at the moment. We want to hear from you. Tony will be back in around about 7 minutes' time. We'll be handing over to the Brila FM studios to speak to Tony. Love to hear from you during that break. Now, our 3 games so far have all produced 2 goals, which is really good. Sparta Rotterdam 2, Feyenoord 0, Union Berlin 2, Mainz 0, Aston Villa 2, Everton 0. All 3 of the home teams are winning by 2 clear goals to nil. I can tell you in France, it's Le Havre 0, Brèche 1, Romain de Castillo has given the visitors the lead there. So there is an away goal to tell you about. Silkeborg are in the habit of winning 2-0 at home against Nordsjælland in the Danish Super League with Alexandra Lind scoring there, and half-time in the Eredivisie. FC Twente 1, PEC Zwolle 1, and that's, as I say, a half-time. Let's head back, shall we, to Villa Park and catch up, shall we, with Richard Bond, where at the moment Aston Villa, I think it's fair to say, are in complete control.
Yes, Aston Villa in real good control of this game, really. It's 2-0 to them at the moment now. We've got 9 minutes of stoppage time, incidentally, mainly for that injury to Calvert-Lewin in the first half. Everton have had a bit of possession, though. They're looking to try and get the ball forward, and they're searching out for Mope, who's had some neat touches since he's come on, trying to hold the ball up. Danjuma, since he's come on to hold the ball up. He does look full of running, Danjuma. He looks a bit different than what Everton have got. And, I think they'll have to look for this kind of thing in the second half if they're going to get back in this game. We haven't really seen much of some of the other wide players from Everton. Iwobi's had a few neat touches at times, but Everton really going to have to commit more if they're going to have to come back into this game. But at the moment, though, we're just into stoppage time now. It's Aston Villa 2, Everton 0.
A minute and a half into 9 minutes of stoppage time, to be absolutely exact. So we'll go back to that match for a half time with Richard after the break in a few minutes' time, with Tony back at the Brila FM studios. The latest odds, by the way, with Naira Bet 1.06, subject to change for an Aston Villa win. Is looking pretty good for them, isn't it? 15, it's just dropped to 15 for the draw, and 41.00 for the away win, were Everton to come back and score 3 goals, and that would need to be done without Dominic Calvert-Lewin, who has gone off with a head injury. Let's go around the grounds and let's go into the Bundesliga. We've already had 2 goals in this game for Docker Dobmer, who's watching Union Berlin in control against Mainz. Any sign of any further goals, Docker?
No real signs of any further goals, but Union Berlin are fully in charge here. Obviously, going into this game as clear favourites. They've had a fantastic transfer window, bringing in the likes of Robin Gosens as well, who sits on the bench today. But yeah, it's all Union Berlin at the minute. Mainz aren't having a sniff of anything. But yeah, still Union Berlin 2, Mainz 0.
Thank you very much for that, Ducker. And let's go into the Eredivisie as well. Comfortable for Sparta Rotterdam. They've got bragging rights in the city of Rotterdam, and the champions Feyenoord, Cam Wilson. It's not been a good start for them at all, has it?
No, absolutely. They're constantly trying to push too many players forward, and then they're so open for a counter-attack. When they've been on the ball, it's been slow. It's been, let's just get the overlap and try and get a ball into the box. But there's no sides there. Jimenez, as much as you want to praise him for being the Mexican international leading the line for them, he's not exactly a target man, and they're just constantly trying to cross it to him. It's so easy for Sparta, and they deserve to be ahead. 62 minutes in, 2-0.
It's also 2-0 in the Scottish League Cup. No Scottish Premier, no SPFL this weekend. Heart of Midlothian, who made it through to the playoff stages of the Europa Conference in midweek on Thursday. They're playing today against Partick Thistle, who just missed out in the playoffs for a place in the SPFL last season. Half-time, Heart of Midlothian 2, Partick Thistle 0. A goal right in the very last minute there from Odeluga Othaya. Now, he's an English striker, but he's got Nigerian parents. So another player on the radar with Nigerian heritage on the goal sheet this afternoon. And Hearts 2, Partick Thistle 0. Also playing this afternoon in the same city. They play at the same time. Didn't realise they were allowed to do that. Maybe they're not expecting big crowds for the Scottish League Cup, but it's Hibernian 0, Wraith Rovers 0. That's a half-time score as well. Right, let's go back, shall we, before we go to our break in Brila FM with or at Brila FM with our very own Tony. That'll be a couple of minutes from now. Let's quickly head back to Villa Park, and we're deep into stoppage. I say deep into stoppage time. There's still about 5 minutes to go in stoppage time. Richard Bond, and they're huffing and puffing Everton, but they're not really getting any change out of Aston Villa at the moment, are they?
Well, they did have a really good chance, actually. It just came minutes ago, and ball was played through by Patterson. It's the first time, really, we've seen Everton get a shot on target. He played through Danjuma. I said he started looking a bit lively since he's come on, pulling a really good save from Martinez. It was from an acute angle, but he's hit it with a lot of power, and he's got a good fist on it and punched it wide. This game has gone a little bit ugly recently, though. There's been a few really heavy challenges coming in. I think we're up to 3 bookings now. A few of the midfielders getting in on the act, but it's one of those ones you've got to keep an eye on, really, as it could boil over a bit later. And a red card that could put Everton right back in the game, or vice versa, give the game to the home side. You don't want to concede just before half time at the moment, but it's on a bit of a knife edge. Still a minute to go to half time. Aston Villa 2, Everton 0.
Thank you very much, Rich. We will join up with Rich after the break for the absolute half-time report from that particular game. We'll also be straight into the Bundesliga to hear how things are panning out between Union Berlin and Mainz. 2-0 there to the home side. 2-0 to the home side, Sparta Rotterdam against Feyenoord as well. 2-0 in all 3 of our featured games. Don't forget, we'll be picking up on the game later on, which we're really looking forward to. This one, Billy Andrews is going to be joining us later, and he's going to be reporting on West Ham United against Chelsea. That's a big one coming up in a couple of hours' time right here on Football Live. But for now, we're going to hand back to Tony in the Brila FM studio. Good afternoon to you, Tony.
This is a commercial break exclusive to Nigeria and Africa alone. But don't worry, Football Live will be back very, very shortly.
Sports Radio 88.9 Brila FM.
You are listening to Football Live. Live and exclusive on Brila FM.
The Premier League, the Bundesliga, Serie A, La Liga.
4 hours of football every Saturday and Sunday on Brila FM with Football Live.
You are listening to Football Live on Brila FM 88.9 and 101.1 FM.
Take Brila anywhere, everywhere.
Yes, you can take Brila with you anywhere, everywhere.
The Brila app is available for free download on Google Play. It is also there on the Apple iTunes Store. Yes, on Google Play and the Apple iTunes Store.
Look out for the Brila football and microphone logo with the letters BRILA in green colour.
That is our authentic app. It gives you Brila FM, Brila.net, BrilaSports.tv, and all the extra betting tips, live score, plus our Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Google Plus, and YouTube posts.
Sports fun. You can post your videos and eyewitness reports.
Brila, B-R-I-L-A. Available for download on Google Play and the Apple iTunes Store.
This is Football Live. And you could not have scripted this.
It's crazy, absolutely insane.
Oh my dearie me. I don't want to laugh or cry.
It's a show that's packed to the brim. Oh my word, what is going on here?
An unbelievable day here on Football Live.
Means there's action everywhere you look. Great entertainment.
That's fantastic.
Wow, just wow.
You are listening to Football Live. Live and exclusive on Brila FM.
You are listening to Football Live. Powered by NairaBet. With Barry Swain.
Yes, welcome back to Football Live. Thank you very much to Tony and the team back at Brila FM. Some very interesting calls and connections in social media. You guys listening in this afternoon on Football Live, where at half-time it's Aston Villa 2, Everton 0. We'll be crossing to Richard Bond for a half-time report in just a couple of minutes' time. There's been a close shave for another goal in our featured game in the Eredivisie, the Champions final. I thought they'd put the ball in the back of the net and they were back in the derby, but VAR have intervened on this particular one. Cam Wilson.
Yeah, thanks, Barry. It's a poor corner from Feyenoord, and they get lucky. It forced Geertruida on the edge of the box, and he crosses the ball back in. It finds Minter, and he heads it across goal, which reaches Jimenez, and Jimenez again heads it back across, and Minter could have just left it, and it would have been a goal, but instead he decides to tap it in, the Gambian international, and it's disallowed for offside. It's so poor from him. His decision-making there, it's going to probably cost them the derby, as they're giving Sparta Rotterdam too many chances. It's 2-0, 72 minutes in.
Thanks very much for that, Cam. There's been a chance in the game involving Union Berlin and their visitors Mainz in the Bundesliga this afternoon. Watching this one for us at the Stadion Alten Forestieri, which is a mouthful for anyone, is Duka Dobmer.
Yeah, there's been a very, very good chance for Union Berlin. David Fofana on loan from Chelsea, the Ivory Coast striker, went 1-on-1 with a keeper. Bit of a tight angle for him, but hit it straight down the throat of the keeper and went out for a corner. But Union Berlin comfortably in control in this game. Union Berlin 2, Mainz 0.
Thank you very much, Dogma there. The two games, Sparta Rotterdam against Feyenoord, that's heading into the final stages there. With Cam Wilson, will be across in the latter stages to see if anything can be dragged back by Feyenoord, or are they going to go into the match week 3 next weekend without a single win so far, the champions, who are looking forward to a season in the Champions League. Of course, they've managed to shake off the likes of PSV Eindhoven and Ajax this season to make it through that far as champions. Union Berlin against Mainz is heading up towards half-time. Union Berlin leading Mainz 2-0 and are in control at the moment. Let's head back to Villa Park, where it's good news for Aston Villa. It's not so good news for Everton. Half-time whistle is blown, and here is the half-time report from Richard Bond.
Yes, it's Aston Villa 2, Everton 0 at half-time here at Villa Park, through goals from John McGinn's penalty from Douglas. John McGinn's close-range finish and a penalty from Douglas Luiz after Jordan Pickford had caught Ollie Watkins trying to punch away across. Villa have been the dominant side here and have responded well to their 5-1 thrashing at Newcastle last weekend, exploiting the frailties of Everton's defence in this match. Everton have given the opposition way too much space at times, and through former Toffee Lucas Digne on the left-hand side picking up a lot of space to play crosses into the box, he's been particularly impressive. The Toffees themselves have been a bit abject in their performance, lacking the conviction as Villa have dominated possession. They look a shadow of the side really that was playing Fulham last weekend, where they really should have got a point out of. One problem they have had though is Dominic Calvert-Lewin, the focal point of the attack, suffered an early injury, and they've lacked really that presence really to get out of defence and been penned back by this rampant Villa attack. Sean Dyche really will look to make some changes at half-time, I would have thought, or early into the second half, and want a response from his side, because they really have been the second best in this game. But at the moment though, it is Aston Villa 2, Everton 0, half-time.
Excellent. More action coming up later on this afternoon when Chelsea go to West Ham in the second of 3 London derbies. The third London derby is tomorrow night. It's Arsenal travelling to Crystal Palace. The first yesterday, of course, was Fulham 0, Brentford 3. So Arsenal going to Palace tomorrow in the final match of the weekend in the Premier League, looking to make it 2 wins out of 2. AC Milan in action tomorrow in Serie A, away at Bologna in what should be a great game at the Stadio Renato Dallara. Sevilla, who look to bounce back after losing on penalties to Manchester City in the Super Cup last week. Well, they're looking to get their first points on the board away at Alaves tomorrow in La Liga. They lost their opening La Liga game to Valencia last weekend by a 0-0. Keeping our focus on Arsenal, and tomorrow night this week they completed the signing of the Brentford goalkeeper David Raya. Here he is talking after signing, pen to paper for Arsenal.
Over the moon to be able to take this challenge in my career, to make that step up in my career. So really excited to get going and see how the season ends up. Obviously the club mainly, and obviously the boss I spoke to the boss, and he sent me the values of what Arsenal are about now, and the group of lads that we have here. The way that the club is going is growing even more. So it's a beautiful challenge to to take, and I couldn't say no.
So that was David Raya. He's certainly going to be competing for first team football this season because Arsenal are in the Champions League, and that's the all-important thing. But can he dislodge Aaron Ramsdale from the number one spot at the Emirates? Only time will tell on that particular one. I can tell you there's been a goal in one of our featured games.
The goals, powered by NairaBet.
We're going to break the chain because all three of our featured games at the moment are 2-0 to the home side. But there's been a goal in the game at the Sparta Stadion in Rotterdam. Sparta Rotterdam were winning by 2-0. A late goal in this game. Cam Wilson, which way's it gone?
Gone to Feyenoord. They've pulled one back. And again, it's another poor corner from them. And it just falls to Geertruiden's got so much time. This time he goes out to the wing. He finds the Brazilian Pachau. And he does a great cross in for a change. And it finds Jimenez absolutely free. And he slots it home into the top right. 2-1 Sparta Rotterdam. Feyenoord have got one back. It's game on now, Barry.
Could be an interesting finale in that local derby. So it's now Sparta Rotterdam 2, Feyenoord 1. Now, yesterday, the results from yesterday's games in the Premier League. The late kick-off, Manchester City beating Newcastle by 1-0. In the early evening kick-off, we heard it right here on Football Live. Very entertaining coverage it was too, with Tottenham beating Manchester United by 2-0. In the 3 o'clock kick-offs, a red card in each of the games that took place. Fulham 0, Brentford 3, of course. Wolves crashing 4-1 at home to a very impressive Brighton and Hove Albion, and Liverpool coming from behind despite being down to 10 men. Alexis McAllister sent off on his home Premier League debut for the Reds, but it didn't matter in the end. They beat Bournemouth by 3-1 at Anfield. And then we've got this game coming up later on this afternoon. It's West Ham United against Chelsea. We're going to start our build-up on that one very shortly. And then tomorrow, it's Arsenal travelling to Crystal Palace. So 2 big matches coming up in the Premier League. One this afternoon and one tomorrow afternoon.
You are listening to Football Live. Live and exclusive on Brila FM.
Well, I can tell you that in our featured games, it's Sparta Rotterdam 2, Feyenoord 1 at half-time of Villa Park. Villa in control of this one. They're bouncing back from that 5-1 humiliation at Newcastle United last week. Aston Villa 2, Everton 0 at half-time. We'll be back for the early stages of the second half when it gets underway with Richard Bond very, very shortly. And Union Berlin heading towards half-time in that game in the Bundesliga. Our feature game in the Bundesliga this afternoon in the early kick-off is Union Berlin 2, Mainz 0. There is a later game in the Bundesliga which we're going to be featuring, as well as West Ham against Chelsea later on, and that's going to be Eintracht Frankfurt against Darmstadt. But also stay into the Netherlands and the Eredivisie for RKC Waalwijk against RZ Alkmaar. That'll be another featured game. Now, if you're wondering why aren't they covering too many Italian games or Spanish games, well, at the moment it's so hot in places like Spain and Italy that most of their games are being given evening kickoffs, and therefore, as a result of that, they're kicking off a little bit too late for us here on Football Live. As the weather just starts to cool down in a few weeks' time, we will start to feature more and more games in those leagues. Of course, the Bundesliga didn't play last week, and you're wondering, why didn't we have any Bundesliga games last week? It's only just kicked off this weekend, so that will be the first game of the season for both Eintracht Frankfurt and Darmstadt this afternoon. Let's go back to the game between, well, it's in the later stages. Let's go back to the Eredivisie, shall we? Sparta Rotterdam against Feyenoord. Cam Wilson, it's all set up for a really interesting finale, hasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Feyenoord are pushing and they're pushing, and Sparta Rotterdam, they can't seem to get the ball and break on the counter-attack. They're just giving away sloppy fouls, and this time it's a free kick on the left-hand side. It's a brilliant whip in, and it's a deflection off the Sparta Rotterdam defender, and it just goes out wide. Feyenoord are so close to evening this up. Sparta really need to start just clearing the ball and getting away with it. It's 2-1, 82 minutes in.
Excellent. Thank you very much for that. Docker Dogma is making his Football League debut this afternoon, his Football Live debut this afternoon. It's his first game he had to wait 9 minutes for 2 goals to go in. He's been waiting a little bit longer for him. It's dried up a little bit now, but Union Berlin, Dark, I understand, come very, very close to making it 3-0.
Yeah, but just before that, Mainz had a good few chances, had a good few blocks from the Union Berlin defenders. But David Fofana had a free kick about 25 yards out and rattled the crossbar very, very close to making it 3-0 in Berlin. But as it stands, it's still Union Berlin 2, Mainz 0.
Last night, by the way, the Aston Villa and Everton players are just making their way out from the corner of Villa Park onto the pitch for the second half. And we'll be across to Richard Bond in just a second. Let's hear from one of the managers, shall we? Eddie Howe, the Newcastle United manager. His side went to Manchester City last night in the late kick-off. He went toe-to-toe with the champions. It ended up Manchester City 1, Newcastle United 0. Here's Eddie Howe, the Newcastle manager.
Tough game, as we knew it would be. They're an elite team, and we tried our best to execute our plan. We tried to press them high and make it difficult for them. They did well against that in the first half. I thought we did better in the second. But when the moments came for us, we weren't clinical enough. The second half showing was much better. There were moments for us. I thought we, fitness-wise, we looked good. I thought technically we were off today, and I think that's probably where we lost the game. We turned the ball over quite a bit in comfortable areas. I have to compliment the back four because I thought we defended their transitions really well, and they had a number in the game.
That was Eddie Howe, the Newcastle United manager. Sorry, just got interfered there by yesterday's presenter, Josh Bailey, because we was going to hear from him actually, and the reason we was going to hear from him is this is how the second goal for Victor Osimhen was reported on the show yesterday. First game of the season for Victor Osimhen in the Italian league yesterday in Serie A, and he wasted no time in getting back. And amongst the goals, let's hear how that second goal was reported right here on Football Live with Josh Bailey and with the reporter at the game involving Napoli, and that was Luke Charlton.
And now to Napoli to get the report of the Osimhen second goal.
Yes, and it's 3-1 to Napoli, with Osimhen showing his cool and calm composure to slot it past Tuani in the goal. It's been coming, and again, it's the influential Di Lorenzo playing at right back, able to drift into the midfield, flicks a lovely ball over the top and in behind for Osimhen. It's a very tight offside call, but the VAR check was very short, and it enabled us to see that Osimhen was just onside and able to double his lead and really get ahead in this race for the Golden Boot, which he won last year with 26 goals in Serie A. He's going to be looking to reclaim that title again. And Napoli, they've made hard work of it at times, and Frosinone can be proud of their efforts and endeavour, but with only 5 minutes remaining, 86th minute, it's Frosinone 1, Napoli 3.
And that's how it finished. And Victor Osimhen is off the mark with another 2 goals for Napoli. The Nigerian goal machine is still functioning in all departments, and he has seen his Napoli side pick up 3 points on the opening day of the season. Big end to the game in the Eredivisie. The Rotterdam derby, Sparta Rotterdam 2, Feyenoord 1. Another big chance for the visitors of Feyenoord. Cam Wilson.
Yeah, it's another corner, and they whip it in, and Trauner decides, I'm going to run near post for a change, and he gets to it, and he uses the outside of his left foot. It's going into the near post, but the keeper just gets there, and he holds it down just to waste the time. It's still 2-1 Sparta Rotterdam, 86 minutes in.
Thank you very much for that, Cam. Let's head back for the first time in this second half to the game that we're featuring in the Premier League at Aston Villa, Villa Park. Aston Villa 2, Everton 0 at half-time. That's still the way of things, but there's been a change for Everton. Richard Bond.
Well, I had a feeling really Everton would look to the bench in the second half, and I was trying to see who I thought would be a good addition to come on, but they've opted for Lewis Dobbin. He's a youngster, really. He was on loan at Derby County last season. He scored 5 goals and had 6 assists. He's been involved in play straight away in the second half. He seems to be taking up a position towards the left-hand side, may have swapped with James Garner, I think. He took on Matty Cash, sprinted down the left hand, put the ball into the box. It deflected up for a corner, but that was a lot more positive for Everton, who really need to look to make a bit of an impetus to get back into this game. But 2 minutes into the second half, just starting here, Aston Villa 2, Everton 0.
Thank you very much, Rich. 1.05 for the Aston Villa victory, and they are 2-0 up, so you'd fancy them for that. 15.00 for the draw, and it's 51.0 for Everton to come back and win that game. They need 3 goals to do so, and they've got a slight knock at the moment. He's holding his hamstring, Alex Iwobi. I don't think it's a hamstring. I think he's just got a knock on the back of his leg, so he's gone down. I'm sure Richard will tell us more about that. The Everton physio is on the pitch, giving him some treatment down by the touchline and communicating into his microphone on his lapel to say what the situation is. It was a ball out wide from Decore. Oh, you know what? That is his hamstring gone. He was running down the line, no challenge in, and Iwobi's gone down in a heap, holding his hamstring, and that is really bad news. Not just for Everton, but obviously for Nigeria, what with an international break coming up in just a couple of weeks' time. So Alex Iwobi's gone off. We'll be across to Richard Bond and get some more on that, hopefully very, very soon. Let's head back into the game that we're covering in the Bundesliga, heading towards half-time. Union Berlin in control against Mainz. Doka Dobmer, any signs of any more goals before half-time?
No, it's quieting down massively in this game. Behrens is just down injured now, getting some treatment. I'm sure he'll be back on the pitch very, very shortly. But nothing's really happened in this game to scream home about. It's been very comfortable for Union Berlin. Mainz aren't offering anything going forward so far.
Excellent. Half-time is just around the corner in that one. We're just about to hit the 45-minute mark. Now, let's head back. We've just mentioned that he's gone down holding his hamstring as Alex Iwobi, and it's not looking particularly good, Richard Bond. When you're holding your hamstring, 99% of the time, that's the last you see of that player, isn't it?
Particularly after half time, when the players are cold, they just come back after having their break. Iwobi, it was a bit innocuous as well, really. He was just running down that flank, just pulled up straight away, felt it, went down. He tried to walk it off a little bit, but he's gone off to the sidelines. Everton frantically warming someone up here. It doesn't rain, it pours here at the moment, like at Villa Park for Everton fans. But they are warming someone up. I'll get back to you and I'll let you know who comes on. But it's Aston Villa 2, Everton 0, 49 minutes on the clock.
You are listening to Football Live. Live and exclusive on Brila FM.
Let's head to another game that we're going to be featuring in the Eredivisie a little bit later on. RKC Waalwijk against the early pace setters from match day one. As a Alkmaar. Johnny Holmes is at the Mandamakers Stadium watching this one for us, and I'm pleased to say, Johnny, you've got some team news for us. Good afternoon.
Yeah, absolutely. Good afternoon, Barry. I think the RZ boys will be watching this Rotterdam derby with extreme interest. I think they'll be keeping tabs on that one. But let's have some team news, as you say. RKC Waalwijk have just announced their side. Jeffrey Bruma will not be starting in defence. Van den Bui is ahead of him. And Zachariah Bakali will be one to watch in behind the striker, who is David Mean. Going across now to RZ Alkmaar, Michael Lardo scored as a sub in his last two outings. But does he start? In fact, not. Odegaard keeps his place and Lardo may be turned to later in the game. Pavlidis and Van Bommel lead the line as RZ are unchanged for the third straight match. Should be an interesting one, Barry. Back to you.
The goals, powered by NairaBet.
5-1 it was on the opening day of the season for Aston Villa. They sat bottom of the table on -4 without a single point. They're trying desperately hard to get themselves back on an even keel. And a third goal has gone flying into the back of the Everton net. It's now Aston Villa that lead by 3 goals to 0. Let's head to Richard Bond in just a second, but just before we go to Richard Bond to hear about that goal, let me tell you about another goal in our featured matches today.
The goals, powered by NairaBet.
It's raining goals, hallelujah. And in that derby match, Rotterdam against Feyenoord. Feyenoord have just found a late equaliser. We'll be across to hear about that from Cam Wilson in just a couple of minutes' time. First of all, let's head to Villa Park, where the Everton fans are starting to pour towards the exits. They've made that trip down from Liverpool to Birmingham. It's not been a very happy trip. It's now 3-0, Richard Bond.
Well, the Villa fans won't care about that. It's 3-0 to the Villa, and the goal comes from Leon Bailey. Lucas Digne has been excellent on that left-hand side all afternoon, and he's put in another really good ball. Michael Keane really doesn't get rid of the ball quick enough. It's just dropped out to Bailey, slashes a shot, and it's gone flying into the bottom right-hand corner. Aston Villa 3, Everton 0.
Thank you very much, Rich. Let's head now to the Netherlands, in particular to Rotterdam. Final were 2-0 down, but they've come back, Cam Wilson, and they've found themselves an equaliser.
Yes, they have, and it's the 17-year-old Leo Sauer, the Slovakian. It falls to him on the edge of the box after the Feyenoord's constant pressure of just whipping balls in, and he lashes it into the top left corner. He's brought them back. He's the hero. 17 years of age. What a moment for him. 92 minutes, I'm getting too excited. 2-2.
It's easy to get excited when you get some late drama in the featured games here on Football Live, and there was certainly plenty of drama yesterday, and already this afternoon there has been plenty of drama. We will be focusing on Chelsea's trip to West Ham later. Really looking forward to this game. It's claret and blue against blue. Now, to me, with all these teams in the Premier League, and I don't know if you agree or disagree, every team's got at least 3 football kits, haven't they now? They bring out a kit, they bring out a second kit, and then they bring out a third choice kit, just in case the first 2 might clash with somebody else. And Aston Villa are in claret and blue shirts today with white shorts, and Everton are in all blue. And ironically, the game later on this afternoon is going to be West Ham United in claret and blue shirts with light blue shorts against a team also in all blue in Chelsea. Neither Everton or Chelsea are opting to change today. In a way, it's nice to see teams wearing their usual colours, and Everton and Chelsea both are this afternoon. Just a little observation that I've had there. From the Premier League to the Bundesliga, and that's exactly the move that Harry Kane made recently. He made his debut in the Bundesliga on Friday night, and he wasn't hanging around. Here he is, Harry Kane.
It's been crazy. It's been the first few days was hectic for sure. A lot going on, a lot to do. Obviously the game on Saturday, so yeah, the last couple of days have been nice to kind of settle in. Got some good training sessions in with the team, starting to get to know the team a little bit better. So, but yeah, amazing experience, you know, everything about it. But now it's about kind of focusing on the game Friday and getting down to work. I think when I was sitting on the bench at the game on Saturday, I think because everything happened so quick, you know, a totally new environment, a totally new team, new stadium, that was, yeah, a bit of a wild experience. But, you know, ultimately, once I'm on the training pitch, once I'm in the games, it feels natural, it feels normal, and that's what's happened over the last few days.
So that was Harry Kane. He seems to be settling in very quickly at Bayern Munich, and they've settled down with him very quickly. A goal and an assist in a 4-0 victory on Friday night. A late goal by Chris Wood gave Nottingham Forest a 2-1 win on Friday night against newly promoted Sheffield United at the City Ground, a 6th successive Premier League match in which Taiwo Awoniyi has scored. The Nigerian again on target with a bullet header in the opening couple of minutes to head the Forest ahead. They did come back, Sheffield United, but a late winner by Chris Wood, the New Zealand international, made it 2-1, all 3 points to Nottingham Forest. In the Championship, Leeds still seeking their first win after a 1-1 draw with West Brom. Marseille were held 2-2 away at Metz in France. Metz down to 10 men for an hour in that game, or on the hour, I should say. Senegalese defender Ababakar Lowe sent off. It was 1-0 to Marseille at that point as well. So the home side, 10 men, then scored 2 goals before the Portuguese Vitina scored a late equaliser for Marseille. No problems for Bayern, as we just heard from Harry Kane. He had a goal and an assist in the 4-0 win at Werder Bremen. 2 wins in 2 for Valencia in Spain as they beat Las Palmas. And in Portugal, Sporting with 2-1 winners at Casa Pia. Palhinha scoring both of those goals. Let's head back to the game in the dying embers of the game in the Eredivisie, the local derby, Sparta Rotterdam 2, Feyenoord 2. It's been a very entertaining game for Cam Wilson, and another really big chance late on in that game, Cam.
And how was it not 3? It's Paschal. It's a free kick just on the edge of the box after a stupid handball. And he whips it to the top left, and the keeper just gets there. I don't know how he's got there. It's going to be a corner for Feyenoord. But oh my word, what a save. It's 2-2, 95 minutes in. There's 1 minute left of the game.
Thank you very much, Cam. That sounds like a really exciting game. Let's head back to Villa Park, shall we, and catch up with Richard Bond. We heard last time a third goal for Aston Villa. I'm watching the game here, Rich. They're just stroking the ball around Aston Villa. They've got their mojo back, haven't they?
Yeah, they certainly have, and it should be 4. And it was a really good chance from midfield. Everton trying to get forward and trying to commit a few numbers into attack, trying to get back into this game. They've got to do something, but Villa had them on the counter. Off they go in midfield. They pick the ball up. It's Diaby. He's picking it up. He's had a lot of space, 25 yards out. He slips a ball through. There's Ollie Watkins. You'd bet your house on Ollie Watkins slotting home from 12 yards. He puts it wide of Pickford's left-hand post. It remains Villa 3, Everton 0, 57 minutes on the clock.
Thank you very much, Richard. We'll be back with you just a few minutes from now with another update of that big Premier League game this afternoon. Aston Villa 3-0 up on Everton, who are still looking for their first Premier League goal. They are on the attack at the moment. We'll be back to Richard very soon for an update on the game between Aston Villa and Everton. Let's head into the Bundesliga, shall we? The half-time whistle has blown in the game between Union Berlin and Mainz. And to tell us all about the first half, it's Dirk Dobmer.
Yeah, it's been pretty plain sailing for Union Berlin this first half. They had a fantastic chance to make it 3 just before half-time as well, through Diogo Leite, who was signed for €7.5 million from Porto this summer. But like I say, Union Berlin have had it all plain sailing this first half. There's been absolutely no issues with their performance. Mainz have yet to put any sort of personality on the game so far. It's been all too easy for Union Berlin. Union Berlin 2, Mainz 0 at half-time.
Yeah, we'll be back to Villa Park in a minute, where Emmanuel Martinez, World Cup winner, just made a terrific save to keep his clean sheet intact. We'll hear about that from Richard Bond in just a minute. Let's quickly head off for a full-time report. It's ended 2-2, Cam Wilson, between Sparta Rotterdam and Feyenoord.
Sparta Rotterdam, their heads will be gone, because they should have put this game to bed. When you're through on goal in 2 occasions to make it 3, and you don't even get a shot off in either, you do not deserve to win this game. They let Feyenoord come back with defending so poorly from set pieces, and then Feyenoord at the end, they were brilliant. They just couldn't put the ball in. The Sparta Rotterdam keeper, Lige, he's got his knees on the floor. He's praying, how did we not win that game? And it's not his fault. He was remarkable in goal. He deserves man the match today. He was brilliant. It finishes 2-2. What a game.
You are listening to Football Live on Brila FM.
Coming up next Saturday on Football Live with Dean Kilford. Join us live and exclusive from 1 o'clock, including Arsenal taking on Fulham. Premier League action. Football Live will be around the grounds chasing the goals.
You are listening to Football Live. Live and exclusive on Brila FM.
The Premier League, the Bundesliga, Serie A, La Liga.
4 hours of football every Saturday and Sunday on Brila FM with Football Live.
You are listening to Football Live on Brila FM 88.9 and 101.1 FM.
If you're betting on sports this week, why not make your money go further? Sign up to NairaBet for 11 days of risk-free betting. If your bet loses, you will get your stake back as a free bet up to 2,000 Naira. All you need to do is register a new account with NairaBet today and qualify to get up to 22,000 Naira in free bets. Visit www.nairabet.com/bonus for more information. General and free bet terms apply. Must be over 18. Must be KYC approved. Must place a qualifying bet. Bets must include football, tennis or basketball markets. Welcome offer only available until Thursday, 31st of August. Please gamble responsibly. You are listening to Football Live, powered by NairaBet, with Barry Swain.
FC20 3-1 up now against Pek Zwolle. Jasper Schendelaar with a goal 4 minutes into stoppage time. It looks like it's going to be 3 points for FC20. So far in this game, Aston Villa 10 shots, 5 on target. Everton 8 shots, 2 on target. Let's head back, shall we, to Richard Bond. A big chance for Neal Maupay, but he couldn't find a way past the World Cup winning goalkeeper, could he?
Well, he's got that medal for a reason, and it's Aston Villa 3, Everton 0 at the moment, but it should be 3-1. Neal Maupay really should be scoring from just inside 6 yards. Corner coming from Ashley Young from the right-hand side. Maupay's there at the back post, unmarked. Comes in looking to place his volley just beyond Martinez. but he saved it flat out with his legs. Really good reaction save. And just to make matters worse for Mopé, he saved his rebound too. So that's gone out of play. Golden opportunity for Everton. The first real big chance they've had in the second half as we're coming to the midpoint. It's Aston Villa 3, Everton 0.
Next time we go back, we'll hear of a triple change for Aston Villa. Coutinho's coming on, Carlos is coming on, Tielemans is coming off, Luis Diaby and Bailey coming off. We'll hear about that in a short while. I can tell you it finished Sparta Rotterdam 2, Feyenoord 0 in our first of two feature games, in fact, in the Eredivisie this afternoon, 2-2 in the derby. The champions held for the second time in 2 weeks against teams that you wouldn't be expecting them to drop points against in their defence of the title. It's not been a good start for them, especially with Ajax and PSV Eindhoven off to winning starts themselves. Lorient 0, Nice 1 in France. It's taken just over an hour for that game to find its first goal, and Ivan Gessan has scored the goal. Let's head back, shall we, to... Let's go to Villa Park and catch up with the latest. It looks like a triple change is imminent, Richard, for Aston Villa. Rest a few legs. They've got a big match coming up. Battle of Britain, they called it. Not quite sure how it's the Battle of Britain. They're playing Hibernian on Wednesday night, I think it is, in Edinburgh, in the first leg of the Europa Conference League playoffs. So maybe they've got an eye on getting through. By the way, Hibernian now 2-1 up against Rave Rovers thanks to a goal from Dylan Venter. They've just gone 2-1 up in that game at Easter Road. But looking at this one, it's game over pretty much already, isn't it?
You think so, really. With 25 minutes to go, we will have stoppages again because there's been a few bits of play. We had a few fouls and a couple more cards. And Leon Bailey was the latest one just to go down with a knock, really. So that's one of the reasons probably why he's gone off with, like you say, Europe in mind. It was in... To be honest, the challenge was inside the box, but VAR, they had a slight look at it, but they thought nothing of it. I think a bit more there. Interesting one, though, Diego Carlos. He's been out for a long time, injured last season. He spent most of the season on the sidelines. It's nice for him to come back. Really, he was a big money signing last summer for Aston Villa, and they spent the whole season without him. So Diaby rested, excellent game. It looks like £50 million really well invested by Aston Villa there, and he could be one that pushes the club on this season. Coutinho hasn't really happened for him at Villa, so it's maybe a good opportunity for him to show that he's still really worth his value at the club as they look to push on in this game. For Everton, really, Neil Mopé, he's trying to get in the game with Danjuma, but they don't really seem to be able to get a foothold on the match at the minute. But it remains with 25 minutes to go. Aston Villa 3, Everton 0.
Thank you very much, Richard. From one Premier League game to another, Chelsea are travelling to West Ham United this afternoon. We should have some team news for you in just a couple of minutes' time. We'll keep you hanging on in there with this thought. I wonder if Moses Caicedo will be on the team sheet this afternoon. One of a couple of new signings for Chelsea this week. Here he is speaking after putting pen to paper and becoming a Chelsea player.
With the guys, I support Chelsea when I was a kid because I saw a lot of players in the midfield like Makelele or N'Golo Kante. They were my inspiration for me to support Chelsea as well. I'm here to be a great player, to help to the team, to become a legend in this amazing club. Every year I have to do my best for this amazing club, one of the biggest clubs in the world. I'm here to become a legend for this amazing club. I'm so happy to be working for Mauricio Pochettino. He speaks Spanish as well. It's so good for me.
So that was Moses Caicedo, and still waiting for confirmation of the starting lineups from that game. We will, of course, be straight across to Billy Andrews, who will be our reporter at the London Stadium this afternoon for that game. Let's, in fact, I'll tell you what. Should we go to Billy right now? Yeah, I think Billy might have some team news for us. Good afternoon at the London Stadium this afternoon for Football Live. Our senior reporter, Billy Andrews. Billy, good afternoon. What can you tell us in terms of team news?
Good afternoon, Barry. Good afternoon, everyone. Yeah, from the London Stadium, we'll start with the away side. The big news that there's no room for Romeo Lavia, new signing, and Moises Caicedo only makes the substitutes bench for Mauricio Pochettino. Of course, Reece James is out, so he's been replaced by Malo Gusto. Other than that, it's the same team that played against Liverpool last week. So Robert Sanchez, Axel Disasi, Thiago Silva and Levi Colwill. Gusto and Chilwell, the new captain for Chelsea in James's absence. Conor Gallagher and Enzo Fernandez in the midfield too. Kani Chukwuemeka, Nicholas Jackson and Raheem Sterling. Leslie Ugo Chukwu on the bench, of course. He is eligible for Nigeria. And for the home team, West Ham, there is a Premier League debut for West Ham for James Ward-Prowse, of course, back in the Premier League after his big money move from relegated Southampton. One free kick away from equalling David Beckham's record. So it's Alphonse Areola, Vladimir Soufal, Kurt Zuma, Nauf Alged and Emerson, Thomas Souček and Ward-Prowse, Jared Bowen, Lucas Paquetá, Said Benrahma and Mikhail Antonio. Strong lineups from both sides. Kick off at the London Stadium, just under an hour away.
Billy, looking at those two lineups, in particularly Chelsea, and I've been scratching my head. You've got Caicedo coming in, Lavia as well, Enzo Fernandez. It feels like a jigsaw puzzle with too many pieces. How does he keep them all happy? What formation is he going to play to keep them all happy?
Well, at the moment, he's having to play a 3-4-3 to incorporate those players, but you'd think eventually Caicedo would come in for Conor Gallagher. Do they then sell Conor Gallagher and use Romeo Lavia as the substitute player? Of course, you can't keep all of these players happy all of the time. Mykhailo Mudryk, again on the bench for Chelsea, a big move in January. Showed glimpses against Liverpool, but he won't be thrilled with a season as a substitute, nor will Noni Madueke. It's up to Mauricio Pochettino to try and find, like you said, places for all those puzzle pieces.
And whilst there's loads of pieces of the puzzle in the middle, actually there's no edges up front. There's not enough edges up front, really, is there? And it's another chance for Nicholas Jackson. I like what I've seen of him so far in very small doses. It's another chance for him to prove himself this afternoon.
Yeah, he was fantastic against Liverpool last week, a game we covered here on Football Live. And the question has to be asked. I know Pochettino doesn't want the negativity around Romelu Lukaku. Juve don't want him, the fans don't want him, Inter Milan won't talk to him anymore. Could there be a possibility where he gets brought in from the cold and gets another chance at Chelsea? Just a different option up front for Pochettino.
Possibility. Who knows? Well, that will be one that I'm sure might just unravel in the next week or so, with the transfer window shutting in just a couple of weeks' time, really. So, Billy, thank you very much. We'll be back to you probably for another chat before kick-off as we build up to West Ham United against Chelsea right here on Football Live this afternoon. Our second Premier League fix of the afternoon. Really looking forward to this one, Chelsea fans out there and West Ham fans out there listening in. That game kicks off in just over 50 minutes from now at the London Stadium. The second of 3 London derbies in the Premier League this afternoon. This weekend, I should say. There's another one tomorrow afternoon, which is Crystal Palace against Arsenal. Really looking forward to a couple of great games this afternoon from the word go. The first game is Aston Villa against Everton. Let's cross back, shall we, to Villa Park and to our reporter at this game. And it's Richard Bond. And Richard, no change, still 3-0, still pretty much all Villa. They're in control, aren't they?
Yes, very much so, Barry. But Everton are huffing and puffing, but they can't blow that Villa house down at the moment. You know, they've had plenty of possession in the last 5 minutes, and particularly we've seen Doucouré on the ball. He seemed to have kind of picked up his play in this second half as he try and form some sort of attack on goal. Dobbins looked quite lively on the left-hand side, as we spoke about before, but there's just nothing really in that final third of note apart from that one Mopé chance to report. Aston Villa on the other side really had another counter-attack about 5 minutes ago, and we've seen Philippe Coutinho not really seen much of in the end of last season and introduced into this one. He had a shot from range straight at Jordan Pickford, but at the moment though, with 18 minutes to go and a bit of stoppage time, it's Aston Villa 3, Everton 0.
Thank you very much for that, Richard. We'll be across to him for another update in just a minute. Lorient have equalised against Nice in the French Ligue 1. 13 minutes to go, and an equaliser has gone into the back of the Nice net, and it's Swain the French Malayan, who has scored the equaliser in that game. Heart of Midlothian are cruising through to the next round of the Scottish League Cup in their tie this afternoon against Partick Thistle. It's now 4-0. The Japanese international Kosuke Tagawa with the goal. FC20 have beaten Zwolle by 3-0, and it's Ghent 1, Sint-Truiden 2 in the game taking place in the Belgium Pro League this afternoon. It's half-time in our Bundesliga featured match, first of two this afternoon. Union Berlin are leading Mainz by 2-0. Earlier on in our Eredivisie match, very entertaining match it was too. Rotterdam were 2-0 up in the derby, but Feyenoord, the champions, showed some character, came back and drew the game 2-2. Doka Dobma is our reporter at the game in the Bundesliga. We'll be back with him very shortly. I understand the two teams are just coming out for the second half in that game, so we'll be across that one very, very shortly. You are listening to Football Live, and a quick reminder that we are back again, as we always are, next weekend. Really looking forward to a couple of great shows next weekend, and that starts on Saturday when we will be covering Tottenham Hotspur as they go to Bournemouth in the early kickoff. Also, Arsenal against Fulham, Manchester United against Nottingham Forest, Everton against Wolverhampton Wanderers. Now, there's two teams that haven't had a very good start. Every week there's a London derby. Brentford against Crystal Palace is the one for you next week. We'll dip into Scotland for Rangers against Ross County, and Borussia Dortmund will be in action in our featured game in the Bundesliga. That's on Saturday. And then on Sunday, Burnley against Villa, Sheffield United, Manchester City, Newcastle, Liverpool. Lick your lips at the mouth-watering prospect we've got on Sunday afternoon next week on the return of Chris Baldwin as your presenter. Bayern Munich against Augsburg, Villarreal against Barcelona. Feyenoord on the show again against Almere City, the defending champions in the Eredivisie, looking for their first victory of the season. And in France, Lille go to Lorient. So that's the way it is next weekend, but for this weekend,
The goals, powered by NairaBet.
well, they thought it was all over, and it most certainly is all over now. Aston Villa have just gone 4-0 up against Everton, and they've levelled out that goal difference very, very quickly. We'll be across to Richard Bond in just a second to hear about that goal at Villa Park. But in the glorious sunshine in the Midlands, Aston Villa fans are enjoying their side absolutely tear shreds off of Everton this afternoon. 4-0 now in that game. I think it might be a little bit closer, the game that we're going to be watching later on in the Premier League between West Ham United and Chelsea. Really looking forward to that match. We can go to Richard Bond now, who can tell us all about that fourth goal for Aston Villa.
Well, I can't believe my eyes, to be honest. Aston Villa have gone 4-0 up, but Everton, it's just of their own doing completely. They got their own throw-in. Ashley Young picks the ball up. He's thrown it back towards his own goal. Michael Keane's not even looking at the ball. It's gone past him to John Duran, who's just come off the bench now, the Colombian, without a goal for Villa in about 12 games, I think it is. He's played at the end of last season, and he's run onto the ball and he's just slotted it past Jordan Pickford, who looks completely dejected by the whole episode. This is dreadful stuff by Everton at the moment now, considering they were 17th in the table last week. If someone really needs to buy a player, it is Sean Dyche. He's got games coming up now against Wolves at home next weekend and Sheffield United away the following week. Crisis talks for Everton, maybe? Not sure. But at the moment, it's Aston Villa 4, Everton 0.
Interesting, very interesting. I wonder if Frank Lampard fancies his old job back. Just coming back to you, Richard, actually, if you're still there, it would be good to talk to you. Actually, you just mentioned a dejected figure in the goalkeeper, Jordan Pickford. I was expecting him to move on in the summer. I thought someone big was going to come in at Manchester United. It didn't materialise, did it? He's still an Everton player, and, you know, he looks a full-on figure. You're absolutely right. And you must be wondering, what have I got to do with this defence in front of me when they're performing like this? Because you're quite right, it's been absolutely horrible this afternoon for him, hasn't it?
Definitely, and I think you've got to look at Jordan Pickford. He is England's #1 goalkeeper, and he's in a similar sort of position in a way to Harry Maguire in the fact of he's playing. Well, he is playing, but at the same time, he's playing in a team really that's not performing as such now. And there's other goalkeepers that look like to take his position. He didn't move on in the summer. He could have gone potentially. I was thinking perhaps Spurs. They went for Empoli's keeper in the window, and maybe that's a missed move for Pickford as such. Defence today, though, for Everton, I think a lot of the times you can look at it and really say that his individual errors, confidence issues, and sometimes we could say that Calvert-Lewin's really his injury really impacted, and one of the goals came off that. But it's small things like that in Premier League games which win matches. But Aston Villa have been so comfortable. They've had a lot of space in the play, and there's a lot of work to be done on that training pitch for Sean Dyche, I think. But yeah, 12 minutes to go here. Aston Villa 4, Everton 0.
Thank you very much, Richard. Let's head back into the Bundesliga. Our feature match this afternoon. Union Berlin were leading at half-time. And there's been a chance, actually, for the visitors, Mainz, to get right back into this game. Dirk Dobmer.
Yeah, it's been about 5 minutes into this second half, and Mainz they look a lot better than they did in the first half. Come out a different side, and it's Karamanisiwo, the striker, with a chance. Cross comes in, free header, and completely fluffs it, goes wide. He should have really tested the keeper from there, but still, Union Berlin 2, Mainz 0.
Aston Villa trying their luck from range as they look for goal number 5, but Coutinho has lofted that one well over the top of the crossbar. We heard earlier from Billy Andrews. He's going to be our reporter this afternoon at the London Stadium for West Ham United against Chelsea. Really looking forward to this one on Football Live. The kickoff is 45 minutes away. Let me just recap on the team news for Chelsea this afternoon. Ben Chilwell takes the captain's armband. Nicholas Jackson gets another chance in attack. There is no place for Moses Caicedo. He's on the bench. And for their new signing, Romeo Lavia from Southampton, he's not even amongst the substitutes. However, as you're not going to see him or hear of him this afternoon, we thought we'd bring him to you right now on Football Live. This is Romeo Lavia, the new Chelsea signing, speaking after his signing from Southampton this week.
I'm really happy and proud to join this football club with a big history. So yeah, it's a privilege for me to be able to put this show on today. I think the project and the ambitions of the club were key factors, but also the history behind it. So these 3 factors were determinant in my decision. Yeah, it's a very exciting time, and most of the time the players that we've signed are players that I've played against, and I thought, these players are good. So being able to work with them is a great feeling. I think we're all young and good players, so it'd be good to get each other better, and that's the only way to succeed.
That was Romeo Lavia, the new Chelsea signing, not part of the team today. Let's quickly go through that Chelsea team for you again. Robert Sanchez in goal, and you've got Axel Disasi, Thiago Silva, Levi Colwill, Malo Gusto, Enzo Fernandez, Conor Gallagher, Carney Chukwuemeka, Ben Chilwell, as I said, he captains the side today, Raheem Sterling and Nicholas Jackson. Amongst the substitutes, Moses Caicedo and Mikael Mudryk for Chelsea. Noni Madueke is also on the bench, as is Mark Cucurella for Chelsea. Let's not go without mentioning West Ham United. Their headline team news is that James Ward-Prowse makes his debut. They go with Areola, Kufal, Zuma the captain, Agard, Emerson, Ward-Prowse, Souček, Paqueta, and then Bowen, Antonio and Ben Rama amongst the substitutes. Fornells, Cornet, Ings and Alvarez, their new signing as well, on the bench. Mubama is also a sub this afternoon for West Ham United. Paqueta only starting today, but subject to rumours that he might be joining Manchester City. That seems to have faded somewhat in the last few days, but it's West Ham United against Chelsea this afternoon, and we will be right across that game throughout the afternoon when it kicks off in just a little over 50 minutes time. We're counting down, 40 minutes time. Let's not do ourselves out of too many minutes there. We'll be heading back, of course, to Brila FM in just a few moments time to speak to Tony and the team in the Brila FM studio. It's our time to take a break. That'll be about 3 or 4 minutes time. Be good to hear from you. What are your predictions on the game this afternoon? West Ham United, they picked up a point in the opening game away at Bournemouth, which is not an easy place to go. Chelsea, who go there actually in a couple of weeks' time, they were drawing on the first day of the season at home to Liverpool as well, but they took plenty of promises out of that game, a game in which Liverpool started so well right here on Football Live last weekend, and then it faded away for Liverpool, and Chelsea got better and better and better. Let's head into the Bundesliga again now. We're not going to go to Union Berlin. We're going to go instead to our later game, which is taking place at the Duschbank Park, the Stadion Duschbank Park. Ryan Benjamin is in place for this one. It's Eintracht Frankfurt against Darmstadt, and he can bring us all the team news.
Yeah, good afternoon. Bundesliga action from Deutsche Bank Park as Frankfurt and Darmstadt meet in the Hessen Derby. About 20 miles separates these two clubs. French striker Randal Kolo Muani starts for Frankfurt, the club's top scorer from last season, linked with a €65 million move to PSG this window. He's worth watching out for. And World Cup winner Mario Götze is back in German football after a stint in the Netherlands with PSV Eindhoven. He'll probably play on the left of a front three rather than in his traditional number 10 position. For newly promoted Darmstadt, former Everton centre-forward Fraser Hornby will lead the line. 6 of his 8 goals last season in the Belgian league came away from home. So if Darmstadt are to get anything from this game, he could be the person to do it, as he seems to like his away days. Kick-off is in about 40 minutes or so from the Bundesliga. Frankfurt versus Darmstadt.
Excellent. Thank you very much for that. We'll be right across that game with Ryan Benjamin throughout the afternoon. Eintracht Frankfurt against Darmstadt. One of those big names in European and German football, Eintracht Frankfurt. They looked a good team a couple of years ago. They were pushing up towards the top of the table. It seems to have fallen away, as is always the case. The big names move on to bigger and better things, and they'll be hoping for a very good season this year. But can anyone stop Bayern Munich? Most people will tell you not. Let's head back to our Premier League game, and I'm looking at my pictures in front of me here. Philippe Coutinho with a face etched in pain. He's being helped down the side of the pitch towards the tunnel. It's not looking good. Another injury for Aston Villa. Richard Bond.
Yeah, these are mounting up this afternoon. I think it's another hamstring. And Coutinho, who's been replaced by Cameron Archer, I can see coming on now. He was running at James Garner, who put a slight challenge in, and he just immediately went down clutching in agony his leg. And he'd stayed down for quite considerable time. And as you can see, as we're talking about now, on the pictures I can see on my monitor, is Coutinho being helped off the pitch. At the moment, we're going to have some considerable stoppage time in this one, I would have thought, on this one. But that's a bad injury for Coutinho. And with Bailey going off as well, like you say, with Europe in the week, that's a bit of a blow for Aston Villa, despite having a really strong squad. You know, it's decimating when you're in different competitions, and you've got to think about that sometimes. But it's Aston Villa 4, Everton 0.
And of course, Richard Mings was stretchered off last week, which is not going to be a short-term problem, is it? At the back, they have had those injuries in pre-season, 1 or 2 others that are currently sidelined. And like you say, European football is coming up, and that starts this week. And I know that Hibernian are not going to make things easy. They're going to roll their sleeves up and give it as if it's their cup final, aren't they, against Aston Villa on Wednesday, and then the following Thursday at Villa Park. You'd expect Villa to come through that, but they'll want their big guns to be available for those, won't they?
Definitely, and you know, I think it was 9 players out for Villa today. You add on Bailey, you know, considering it was Bundia as well last week, as well as Mings, and now we've got Coutinho out as well. You know, it's going to be tricky, and you know, Villa do have a strong squad, as we've seen. Someone like Duran's come on now today, and he's influenced the game and got a 4th goal. But it's, you know, when a side like Hibernian, you know, they've got nothing to lose in that match, come at you, it's difficult, and particularly the turnaround in games when you come back to the Premier League really does influence your form as well. And it's easy to drop points in the Premier League if you're not at your best, as we've seen in many a game this season already. So it will be interesting to see how Villa respond to this one. But yeah, they're clear winners today. You know, it's only a matter of formality now. We've got 3 minutes left to play, plus about 8 or 9 minutes over the thought of stoppage time. Aston Villa 4, Everton.
Thank you very much, Richard. Now it's time to hand back to our team at Brila FM. Tony and the team, back to you guys.
This is a commercial break exclusive to Nigeria and Africa alone. But don't worry, Football Live will be back very, very shortly.
Sports Radio 88.9 Brila FM.
You are listening to Football Live. Live and exclusive on Brila FM.
The Premier League, the Bundesliga, Serie A, La Liga.
4 hours of football every Saturday and Sunday on Brila FM with Football Live.
You are listening to Football Live on Brila FM 88.9 and 101.1 FM.
Take Brila anywhere, everywhere.
Yes, you can take Brila with you anywhere, everywhere.
The Brila app is available for free download on Google Play. It is also there on the Apple iTunes Store. Yes, on Google Play and the Apple iTunes Store.
Look out for the Brila football and microphone logo with the letters BRILA in green colour.
That is our authentic app. It gives you Brila FM, Brila.net, BrilaSports.tv, and all the extra betting tips, live score, plus our Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Google Plus, and YouTube posts.
Sports fun. You can post your videos and eyewitness reports.
Brila, BRILA. Available for download on Google Play and the Apple iTunes Store.
This is Football Live.
And you could not have scripted this.
It's crazy, absolutely insane.
Oh, I don't want to laugh or cry.
It's a show that's packed to the brim. Oh my word, what is going on here?
An unbelievable day here on Football Live.
Means there's action everywhere you look.
Great entertainment. That's fantastic.
Wow, just wow.
You are listening to Football Live. Live and exclusive on Brila FM.
You are listening to Football Live. Powered by NairaBet. with Barry Swain. The goals, powered by NairaBet.
Well, it's not come at Villa Park, but they are into 9 minutes of stoppage time. They've played about 3 minutes of those 9 minutes added on. The game is already over and done with 4-0 to Aston Villa in that game. We'll be across to Richard in just a second for an update on that. But we can go into the Bundesliga, where I can tell you that Mainz have pulled a goal back at Union Berlin. And to tell us all about it, it's Dorka Dobmer.
It's been a crazy 5 minutes here in Berlin. First of all, Mainz have missed a penalty. It was a clear foul by Diogo Leite on Gruda, the substitute who's just come on. And then the penalty was missed by Ludovic Ajorki, who scored a penalty in their previous game in the DFB Pokal. But then a few minutes later, a fantastic finish from the fullback, Anthony Kachi, hitting on the volley from the left-hand side across the goalkeeper. Nothing he could do about it. It's a simply sensational finish. And it is now Union Berlin 2, Mainz 1.
Game on in the game at the Stadion and Alten Forestieri. And, well, could yet be some late drama in that one. Well into the second half, deep into the second half in that game. Union Berlin leading 2-1 in our featured game in the Bundesliga. We've got Eintracht Frankfurt against Darmstadt coming up with Ryan Benjamin very soon. We've got Chelsea's visit to West Ham United coming up. Let's cross now to Villa Park in the sunshine. Richard Bond. It's not been a good afternoon for for Everton. It's been a good afternoon, apart from the injuries, for Aston Villa, and they're cruising, aren't they?
Yes, they're cruising into the last few minutes of this game now. We have 9 minutes of stoppage time, as you said. Now we're about 4 minutes into that period at the moment. The game has got a little bit tetchy, and we've had a couple more yellow cards. It's up to 7 now in this game. Three to Aston Villa, 4 to Everton. Patterson booked for a late challenge on Digne, and then roles reversal, really. Archer going into the back of Dan Juma. Dan Juma had a half chance for Everton, really breaking free down the left-hand side before cutting in, and then shooting just wide of the Martinez's goal for Aston Villa. But for Everton, it's been too little, too late in that regards. They haven't really offered much in front of goal, while Aston Villa, when they've had the chance, have been clinical in this match. We are about 4 minutes to go in this one in stoppage time. Aston Villa 4, Everton 0.
Rennes have beaten Clermont 2-0 in the French League 1, I can tell you, and it's finished Lorient 1, Nice 1. Hibs are through 2-1 against Raith Rovers, so they'll be facing Aston Villa on Wednesday evening in the Scottish capital in the first leg of the playoff of the Europa Conference League, and they go into that with a victory. And, well, let's head into our featured game that we've got this afternoon, our second featured game in the Eredivisie. Johnny Holmes is watching RKC Waalwijk against RZ Alkmaar, and there's been plenty of early incident in this one, Johnny.
Yeah, a few chances for both sides here. I mean, early on, it was all RZ having a lot of joy on this right-hand side. Odgaard shaping to shoot, creating a bit of space after receiving it from Sugawara, and fired just over the bar. Also, Pavlidis has been a threat up front, having his own shot blocked. But just recently, against the run of play, RKC had Cleonize through on goal out of nothing, tried to slot past Ryan, the RZ goalkeeper, fired straight at him. Big chance, gone begging. It's still 0-0 here, 15 minutes played.
Thank you very much, Johnny Holmes, who is watching our second feature game in the Eredivisie this afternoon at the Manda Makers Stadium. It was the Women's World Cup final earlier on today, of course. England falling short, losing 1-0 to Spain, and taking the defeat on the chin like a true pro was Millie Bright.
Yeah, it's hard, but, you know, it's football. It can go your way, it can go against you. They're a fantastic team. You know, I think first half went our best, second half we definitely put the fight in. We had chances, hit the ball, but yeah, we just couldn't finish it today. So, yeah, congrats to them, but, you know, this is the hard part of football. Yeah, I think against a team like this, when you let them get that sort of momentum, it's extremely difficult. They love to possess the ball, so as soon as they get that momentum, it is really hard to get out of that. But like I said, we did have our chances, even in the first half when we weren't at our best. And yeah, I think keeping them to 1 is, but yeah, a lot of emotion, but really proud of the team to come this far, to play in a World Cup final. Not many players do that, so yeah, I'm really proud.
So there you go. Millie Bright looking on the bright side. Hello, England did lose 1-0. Let's cheer her up by bringing her a goal right here on Football Live, shall we?
The goals, powered by NairaBet.
I think this is our first hat-trick of the weekend, is it? Well, we'll find out in just a second when we head back to Germany. Union Berlin now 3-1 up on Mainz, and we'll be heading back in just a couple of minutes' time to Docket Dobma to hear from him about that decisive third goal for Union Berlin against Mainz this afternoon. And, in the game that's still going on in the Premier League, Richard Bond is watching the dying embers of the game. I think we're pretty much done for injury time. Just a couple of minutes left, and Villa stroking the ball around, Richard. Everton just want to get on a bus, and they just want to go home, don't they?
I think so, and I think it's really been a wake-up call for Sean Dyche. They played well last week, in all fairness, and they didn't get nothing. Today, they have been terrible. There's no other way to look at it. They haven't been good enough in any areas of the pitch. They've been less shots, less possession, just too slow on the ball, no focal point in attack. And we can see as well, there's players coming on now, youth players coming through from the academy. There's just not the strength in depth at Goodison Park this season. So they'll move on now, and bigger things now for them. They weren't really expecting probably too much from this game today. A point probably would have been a good idea, but it's Wolves next, Sheffield United after that. We talk about 6-pointers in the Premier League towards the end of the season, but is it too soon really to say that those two games really are really crucial when over a campaign you get a point from week to week with a draw, but you don't get tremendous amount of wins against each other, and when you do, they mount up those points come the end of the season. You've got to get 38 points somehow, and I think those next two games will be crucial for Everton. And it's just finished here. Yeah. It's finished Aston Villa 4, Everton 0.
Rich, what you're saying that 38 points, I think this season, I don't think, Luton and Sheffield United might yet prove us wrong, but we reckon they're going to go down. They're going to be weak by the excellent standards that we've got in the Premier League, and they're not bad sides. It's just such a high bar to aim for. And then you've got the Wolveses and the Evertons, and then after that you're going to have the Nottingham Forests and the Fulhams all clambering around. But already Sheffield United, Luton, Wolves and Everton, in many eyes, it's 3 or 4, isn't it? It's not going to work out like that. But like you just said, Wolverhampton Wanderers next weekend, which you can hear right here on Saturday afternoon on Football Live, one of the featured games in the Premier League. That's next Saturday. That should be a really good show. That's next Saturday. The following week, like you say, they go to Sheffield United. They lose those two games, it's 0-0-4, and suddenly Sean Dyche is under an enormous amount of pressure, and you're wondering where the goals are going to come from.
Yeah, definitely, and it remains to be seen really with Everton what they're going to do in this remainder of this transfer window. But fresh faces are needed, really, even just to build a bit of confidence. Really, Everton have bought Yusuf Chimanetti, and he hasn't been seen yet. Is he fit? We're not really sure. He was rumoured with being on the bench today. There's no sign of him there. So next weekend, I would expect to see him in the squad if he is fit, and I think Dyche will be looking behind the scenes now to really get players in. He talked about other sides really trying to get points as well. It would have been interesting really if Burnley and Luton have had their game this weekend, to see sort of where those two sides are at in the mix, and whether they we've seen Luton last weekend. It was against Manchester City, so it's hard to really comprehend really sort of what they're going to bring into this league. But you've just got to really take points. You've got to be at the top of your game every weekend if you want points in the Premier League. Everton weren't today, and that's why they've lost against Aston Villa so heavily. Villa really wanted it more than them, and they produced a really sparkling performance, and they brought that goal difference back from last week after such a hiding. But it's one of those days for Everton. They've got to move on now. But Aston Villa, clear Wednesday 4-0.
Excellent. Thank you very much this afternoon, Richard. Brilliant reporting as always. One of our senior reporters here on Football Live, Richard Bond, watching that game at Villa Park. Aston Villa 4, Everton 0. Let's delve into the game that we are featuring. Union Berlin against Mainz in the Bundesliga. And watching this one for us, Docket Dobma.
Yes, after we thought, Mainz are going to get back into the game, getting that goal back. However, Union Berlin bring on Robin Gosens and last season's top goal scorer, Geraldo Becker, and they've just made it 3-1. It is Kevin Behrens who has got his hat-trick, a hat-trick of headers as well. And it's Geraldo Becker, the substitute on the right-hand side, who whips the ball in, and it is a carbon copy of the first 2 goals. Easy header, easy goal. It is now Union Berlin 3, Mainz 1.
Thank you very much. Let's head to the game that is being watched by our very own Johnny Holmes this afternoon at the Manda Makers Stadium. Love the name of the Manda Makers Stadium. RKC Valvik against RZ Alkmaar. And there's been a big chance in this game, Johnny, for the visitors.
Lovely stadium name, you're right, Barry, and I can just about pronounce it. This game's got very interesting just recently. It feels like every time RZ land a punch, RKC come back swinging. So I've got a few chances to let you know about. Earlier on, Van Bommel found Pavlidis, who shot tamely straight at Vessen, and then Lutonda from the corresponding goal kick that followed nearly passed the ball back into his own net. Luckily, Vessen was able to scramble back and recover. But not to be outdone, RKC then went down the other end, and Zachariah Bakali, who I did say was one to watch, went dancing through the RZ defence, but in the end, when it came to that final product, he fired tamely at the goalkeeper. Should have done better. It's still 0-0 here, 24 minutes played.
You are listening to Football Live, live and exclusive on Brila FM.
Yes, so there we are. Bang up to date. No goals yet in the game that we are featuring between RKC and AZ in the Eredivisie, in the Bundesliga. Union Berlin 3-1 up now on Mainz. Looks like they're going to take all 3 points thanks to a hat-trick of headers from Kevin Behrens. We're going to start featuring now the big game, which is just 20 minutes away in the Premier League in England. It's a London derby. It's West Ham United against Chelsea. Taking the captain's armband this afternoon for Chelsea is Ben Chilwell, and we caught up with him here on Football Live earlier this week.
Yeah, for sure. It's been spoken about a lot recently, the fitness we've been doing over pre-season. And I think today was, it showed. I feel like we were very fit. I think even the last 5-10 minutes, everyone was making forward runs, making defensive runs just as quickly as they're running forward, which I think is a positive. And, we ran for each other for the whole 90 plus minutes. I think we were getting joy down the wings. We were obviously trying to get in behind. Me and Reece in particular were trying to get in behind. Me and Reece, the fullback area. I feel like me and Reece started to get on the ball. The midfield started to control the game a bit more, which allowed me and Reece to get on the ball more. And then, we grew into the game, and particularly in the second half, we dominated, and we didn't just dominate in our half. I feel like we dominated in their half and kept the ball more around the edge of their box. And it was just that final ball or final shot today, including myself, that wasn't quite there.
Right, from Ben Chilwell there. Billy Andrews is our reporter watching this game at London Stadium. Billy, I suppose the first question is, how much are they going to miss Reece James down that right-hand side? Because when he's fit, he's such a good player, isn't he? When he's fit.
That's the problem, Barry. When he's fit, he's such a good player. And it was an odd choice. I thought it was an odd choice anyway, to give him the captaincy, because he does spend so much time not playing for Chelsea. Obviously, they've got the likes of Gusto, but it remains to be seen if he can be a similar attacking threat to Reece James. But there's enough quality in this Chelsea side to cause West Ham a lot of problems. There's also some quality in the West Ham team to catch Chelsea out. But we were talking about the amount of midfield riches that they've got and how Pochettino's going to work all these in. It's worth remembering as well, they've got that Italian Cesare Casadei on loan at Leicester, of course, scored yesterday. That's another player they've got to work in. They've got David Fofana, the striker, on loan at Union Berlin. So that's, again, a player that could possibly have played a part this season to ease the attacking problems. So Pochettino's made these choices, but Chelsea have to start winning games and performing well if he's going to be vindicated in making them.
James Ward-Prowse, 11 goals last season for Southampton, 4 assists, chances created, 74, not bad for a team that was relegated, 65 tackles, distance per 90 minutes, 11.6 kilometres. All those stats are first for Southampton, not difficult. They weren't very good last season. They went down, young side. and he comes back into the Premier League, and I think it's a move that he richly deserved. He didn't angle for it, he didn't push for it, he just sat tight, started the season with Southampton, got on with his business. West Ham come along, business was done. He's now back in the Premier League. I'm really looking forward to seeing him, because I think he needed that move, didn't he, if he's to play any sort of part for England next summer in the Euros.
Yeah, he needed this move to West Ham, and if anyone watched the opening game for Southampton in the Championship against Sheffield Wednesday, he was just a golfing class, just so much better than everyone that played in that game. I think Southampton won't have any problems. I think they'll come straight back up, but Ward-Prowse needs to be playing in the Premier League if he's going to get picked for the Euros. They make a big thing out of not wanting personal records, but he will want that free kick record from David Beckham. Of course, 1 goal away from equalling it. So he's got the perfect team in West Ham. You know, they've got Antonio, they've got big boys at the back like Zuma and Alged that can go up for his set pieces. He's a fantastic set piece deliverer. So they've got a real weapon in Ward-Prowse.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Billy. We'll be back with Billy a little bit later on. The kick-off at the London Stadium is just a little under 16 minutes away. Really rubbing our hands and looking forward to what will be a cracking game in the Premier League this afternoon. West Ham United against Chelsea. 2 big London clubs cracking together in what should be an absolutely exhilarating game. And it kicks off in a little over 15 minutes' time. Now, last night, Lionel Messi, hailed as the best in the world, and you can see why. He's already won a trophy. He's only been at Inter Miami for 10 minutes. He scored his 10th goal in 7 games to help his Inter Miami side to their first trophy. The 36-year-old Argentinian fired into the top corner from outside the box to give Miami the lead against Nashville in the League's Cup final. Fafa Picault levelled in the second half to send the game to penalties. Miami sealed a 10-9 shootout win when Drake Callender saved Nashville's goalkeeper Elliot Panicho's penalty kick. Miami had the worst record in the Major League Soccer this season before the World Cup winning forward Messi arrived last month alongside former Barcelona teammates Jordi Alba and Sergio Busquets. They are now unbeaten in 7 on their way to winning the League's Cup, a tournament featuring MLS and Mexican League MX sides. And that's no pushover. That is a very decent league in South America. So Messi at it again. Hopefully we'll be hearing from him later this season because he's now learning English. So we hopefully will get an English interview in the coming weeks with the very, very great GOAT that is Lionel Messi. Now, arguably the greatest player in the world, to probably a player that will be the first to admit he's not the greatest player in the world, but I bet he felt on top of the world on Friday night. Chris Wood scoring the winner in the 90th minute against Sheffield United to give Nottingham Forest all 3 points at the City Ground. Here he is.
Okay, it's nice. It's nice to come on and make an impact. That's what we're sent on to do as substitutes. That's our role. When we're off the bench, we need to come on and make an impact. We needed to aid the team because they've done fantastically well all game. And I think we showed that last week against Arsenal. The boys coming on, doing extremely well, creating chances, and then changing the game. I think the manager tested us to do that again this game, and every game that the boys are coming off the bench, we have to show what we're about and change the game and hopefully aid to the team that's on the pitch. So the boys came off the bench, Elanga and Yates done extremely well to begin with, and then the addedness of us coming off.
Taiwo Awoniyi, of course, scoring the opening goal in that game for Nottingham Forest. They did peg themselves back into the game, Sheffield United, before a late winner there from that man who you just heard from in Chris Wood. Let's quickly step into our featured game involving RKC Waalwijk and AZ Alkmaar. Ryan Benjamin Johnny Holmes. Sorry, getting our reporters muddled up this afternoon. Johnny Holmes, a chance for the home side.
Don't worry about it, Barry. Yes, indeed. You have to say that AZ have been the better side here. They've had the lion's share of possession. They've been passing it about and having a few chances on the right-hand side. But it seems that every so often, AKC pop up with a chance, and they've done so here. It was a ghosting run by Mean, straight through the defence. Lovely step-overs, lovely shimmies. And then he looks around at his teammate as if to say, where's the support? Where is everybody? I need help here. And he did indeed lose possession of the ball because no one was there with him. And then shortly after that, Zakaria Bakali's heavy touch allowed a slight chance to squirm through to the goalkeeper, Ryan. It's still 0-0 here. When will we see a goal? 31 minutes played.
Big shock maybe in the pipeline in Scotland because Kilmarnock, thanks to a goal from Marley Watkins on the hour mark, has given them the lead in the League Cup. Kilmarnock 1, Celtic 0. There's a shock for you. Now, joining us this afternoon is our very own Ayo Alabi of Naira Bet. Good afternoon to you, Ayo.
Good afternoon, Barry. How are you today?
Oh, I am rubbing my hands together and with anticipation, it has to be said, for this game that we've got coming up this afternoon, West Ham United against Chelsea. I can't wait for this one to happen. What's the odds on this one? What's your overall view on this game?
Well, my overall view of the game is that normally if Chelsea was coming to a team that finished in the bottom half of the table last season, Chelsea would be overwhelming favourites. This time around, they're still favourites, but they're not the overwhelming favourites. They are 2.15 to win the game. Normally, a Chelsea team will probably be as short as 1.50, 1.57. But Chelsea are 2.15, which for me is a huge, huge price for Chelsea to win the game. A draw is 3.50 and West Ham are 3.50. I think West Ham will shock Chelsea tonight. Chelsea have got this expensive midfield of £100 million and £150 million midfield. But these are kids, basically. They're talented. But Enzo Fernandez is starting to show his quality. But basically, they've just... Lavia from Southampton is a young kid. Caicedo, even he's only had about 40 Premier League games. To pay £115 million for him is absolutely bonkers. I think Chelsea will come a cropper here. West Ham will either win today's game, in my opinion, or draw. West Ham are 3.50. If West Ham are going to win, you think they'll have to keep a clean sheet. You think they'll score one from a free kick, from a deflection or something of that sort, the way David Moyes teams tend to get their goals. West Ham to win 1-0, however, is 10.00. If you think West Ham will win the game, they will not be winning 3-0. They will not be winning 4-0. You think it's 1-0, 2-0 at 17.00, and even maybe a draw at 8.50. But personally, I think West Ham will win. As for Chelsea to win the game, as I said, it's 2.15. If you're a Chelsea fan, you've got to back your team at 2.15. It's a ridiculous price for Chelsea. I don't know what Naira bets are playing at, but if you are a Chelsea fan, go back your team at 2.15. I think there will not be many goals in this game. And I foresee an under 1.5 goals, which is West Ham or Chelsea maybe to win 1-0 at 3.75. If you think there'll be over 1.5 goals, it's a shocking price at 1.29. I wouldn't be playing in that market at all.
Excellent. Aya, can we look towards a game that's being played tomorrow in the Premier League? Really looking forward to this one as well. Another London derby. Crystal Palace against Arsenal. Arsenal and Palace both winning last week. I suppose most people's money is going to be on Arsenal, isn't it?
Well, naturally, Arsenal are they call themselves the vice champions. I don't know. I've never heard anything like that in the history of the league. But Arsenal fans are a different breed. They come up with different things. And now we get the prizes for the Arsenal game for you. If you can just give me 15 seconds, just bear with me.
Whilst you're bringing it up, I have to say, you know,
I never had that one up. I actually had the Eintracht Frankfurt and the other game up. But Arsenal are 1.62. That's the kind of price I expected Chelsea to be today, not 2.15. So Arsenal are 1.62 to win the game tomorrow. Crystal Palace are 5.50. A draw is at 4.20. When Palace play at home, anything happens. They could be brilliant and beat you 2-0. They could be awful and lose 5-1. One day they're Arthur, another day they're Martha. You never know what you get from Crystal Palace. But I think Arsenal will score. I think Crystal Palace will score. And both teams to score in that market, with both teams to score is 1.85. I think that's a decent price for both teams to score in that game. I'm not too sure. I'm not confident about Palace victory. And Arsenal 1.52 is a big risk. It's the start of the season. I know some teams are blowing some teams away, but generally at the start of the season, you tend to get shocking results because all the teams are basically still flexing their muscles. There are no major injuries. Everyone is still re-energized from the summer. I think a draw 4.20. If I was playing in this market, that would be the price. That would be the bet I would be placing my money on. At 4.20 for a draw in that game. At Christopher's at home, by the way, so a draw could possibly happen.
Excellent. Ayo, thank you very much for your company this afternoon. It's always great to hear from you and those great odds and summaries. That's Ayo Alabi of NairaBet. Well done to Ayo. Thank you very much. And he'll be back right here on Brila FM and Football Live next Saturday afternoon on the show. Let's quickly delve into two of the featured games we've got playing at the moment. There's been a penalty in the game in the Bundesliga. Union Berlin against Mainz. Dorka Dobmer can tell us all about the penalty, which has been missed.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, Ludovic Ajorque couldn't buy a goal at this rate. 2 penalties missed. It was him that actually won the penalty. A bit of a tussle with Robin Knock, and Robin Knock did handball it in the process, that battle, and the pen was given due to VAR, but Ludovic Ajorque could not buy a goal. Perfect time to score a goal for Mainz as well, the closing stage of the game, to make it a little bit more interesting. But as it stands, it's still Union Berlin 3, Mainz 1.
Thanks, Doc. Goes into 5 minutes of stoppage time there. Let's hear about a chance that came back off the crossbar for AZ Alkmaar in the game in the Eredivisie. Johnny Holmes.
Oh, it's an absolute flurry of activity for AZ Alkmaar. It all came from Pavlidis being strong, beating his man with some great skill. He fired a shot across, which was deflected behind, and it's from the following corner that the chance came, and how is it not in the back of the net? It was flicked off of the shoulder of Ukili for EKC onto the bar, and AZ really should be ahead. Somehow they're not. Somehow it's still 0-0. 39 minutes played here.
Listening to Football Live on Brila FM.
Coming up next Saturday on Football Live with Dean Kilford. Join us live and exclusive from 1 o'clock, including Arsenal taking on Fulham. Premier League action. Football Live will be around the grounds, chasing the goals.
You are listening to Football Live. Live and exclusive on Brila FM.
The Premier League, the Bundesliga, Serie A, La Liga.
4 hours of football every Saturday and Sunday on Brila FM with Football Live.
You are listening to Football Live on Brila FM 88.9 and 101.1 FM.
Domestic football is back and NairaBet has you covered. Fancy a free bet to get the season underway? Place an ACCA with 11 plus selections and get a 500 Naira free bet every day. Football is finally flowing again and you have plenty to pick from. Whether it is the Premier League, Ligue 1, La Liga, MLS or even the Saudi Pro League, make it more interesting with NairaBet. All you need to do is head to the website and place your combi bet to get involved. Must be 18 plus. Maximum of 1 free bet awarded each day. Minimum stake of 500 Naira. Minimum odds of 1.2 per selection. General and free bet terms and conditions apply. Visit www.nairabet.com/bonus for full details. Please gamble responsibly. You are listening to Football Live, powered by NairaBet, with Barry Swain.
Yes, welcome back to Football Live, where this afternoon in Austria it's FC Blau-Weiß Linz, that's a mouthful, 0, Rapid Vienna 3. Rapid Vienna well on their way to all 3 points there. They've only played 26 minutes, 3-0 up already. Moritz Oswald has gone and added 2 earlier goals in that game by Guido Burgstaller, who got 2 in the opening 22 minutes. The champions, Red Bull Salzburg, are leading at Hartberg thanks to Oscar Glue's goal after 16 minutes. So plenty of goals early on in the game, or the 2 games being played in the Austrian Bundesliga. What about the Eredivisie?
The goals, powered by NairaBet.
Let's head off to our featured game in the Eredivisie. Johnny Holmes is watching. RKC against RZ Alkmaar. Which way's the goal gone, Johnny?
It's come against the run of play. It's come for the home side, EKC. It's Cleonise who was through on goal, had a shot, and just in front of him appears De Witt, who has his arm extended. It's one of those close quarter handballs that is given. You could say it's harsh. You could say that it was a little bit close in, the shot was fired in, but his arm is out. Ref, no hesitation, points to the spot, and Kramer steps up, the number 29, and makes no mistake. In fact, it's a fantastic penalty, fires it top left, and RKC, the home side, they lead 1-0 against RZ Alkmaar. We've played 42 minutes here.
Excellent, thank you very much there, Michael Kramer, scoring from the penalty spot, the very tall 34-year-old veteran who has now scored 20 goals in just over 50 matches for RKC. He's one of those much-travelled strikers, and he's quite tall as well, 6'5". That's fairly tall for a striker of his calibre. Let's tell you about another goal in one of our other featured matches.
The goals, powered by NairaBet.
I can tell you that Union Berlin are now 4-1 up, and the final whistle has gone in that game in the Bundesliga. Union Berlin 4, FC Mainz 1, and we'll be across for a little bit of news on that goal, and of course the final match report from that game in just a minute with Duka Dobmer, our reporter on that Bundesliga game. We've got two games that are just about to kick off. Eintracht Frankfurt against Darmstadt at the Stadion Deutschbank Park with Ryan Benjamin, and we'll also be across, of course, the big one. The teams are out, the sun is shining at the London Stadium. It's West Ham United against Chelsea. We'll be across to hear from the reporters of both of those games very shortly, and particularly Billy Andrews, who's watching for us. Let's go to the game in the Bundesliga. It's just finished, and to tell us about that fourth goal for Union Berlin as well, it's Duka Dobmer.
Yeah, very quick counter-attack from Union Berlin. It was a Mainz corner, and quickly up the pitch within about 5 seconds or so, Pantovic is there to take it round the goalkeeper and make it 4-1. It is now finished. A full-time whistle has gone. Union Berlin deserved winners. Mainz have had their chances. They've missed 2 penalties, but a Kevin Behrens hat-trick and a Pantovic late goal has settled the scoreline here. Union Berlin 4, Mainz 1.
Yeah, late goal there from the Serbian Milos Pantovic. I say Serbian, he is a Serbian under-21 international. I know he did come through the ranks at Bayern Munich, and he was actually born in Munich and raised in Munich. So whilst he is playing his football nationally for the Serbian under-21s, or has been, he never made it to the full team. He's now 27. He hasn't made it through into the full Serb side. He is, by all accounts, born and bred in Germany. The game is underway. West Ham United 0, Chelsea 0 into the opening seconds of that game. And let's head back to RKC Valvik against RZ Alkmaar. Johnny Holmes, we've already seen a goal and another big chance for the home side, RKC.
Absolutely, they've come alive here, Barry, out of nothing really, and RZ look absolutely shell-shocked. And once again, it's Cleonise running clean through on goal, this time on the left. The penalty came from the right. He's on the left this time. He's charging through towards the goalkeeper, Ryan, who stands up big, stands up strong, and not for the first time today, denies Cleonise a clear shot at goal. And the following corner came to absolutely nothing. But RKC are the side that are really taking this game forward. They're grabbing it by the scruff of the neck, and they lead 1-0 at home here after 46 minutes played.
Excellent. Thank you very much for that update. Right, RKC leading in that game. Eintracht Frankfurt against Darmstadt has just kicked off. Chelsea's game away at West Ham United has kicked off. Just watching the game unfold in front of us. Let's go across for a first update since the kickoff with our reporter Billy Andrews. Half the pitch bathed in sunshine, half in shade. Great atmosphere inside the stadium. Chelsea trying to make their way forward down the right-hand side. But it's just a case of two teams feeling one another out in the early stages.
Yeah, two teams feeling each other out. There was a early tussle between Vladimir Sofal and Kani Chukwuemeka. Chukwuemeka just left feeling his ribs, but it's all been Chelsea in the opening couple of moments. It's all coming down that left-hand side with Chukwuemeka and Ben Chilwell. Levi Colwill as well playing quite an advanced role, stepping into midfield at some points alongside Fernandes and Conor Gallagher, who incidentally made the most appearances at Chelsea, or joint most appearances, 35 times he played for the Blues last season. So we'll be hoping for a similar return this time, I'm sure, as that pass towards Raheem Sterling just goes awry. But West Ham not really touched the ball yet. Ward-Prowse playing deep alongside Vladimir against Souček, I should say. And obviously Lucas Paquetá, we wonder where his head will be at after his proposed move to Man City fell through. He's down at the moment holding his head, but 2 minutes gone. It's West Ham 0, Chelsea 0.
You are listening to Football Live. Live and exclusive on Brila FM.
The Premier League, the Bundesliga, Serie A, La Liga.
4 hours of football every Saturday and Sunday on Brila FM with Football Live.
You are listening to Football Live on Brila FM 88.9 and 101.1 FM.
The half-time whistle has blown in our featured game in the Eredivisie. AKC Valvik ahead at half-time against AZ Alkmaar. To tell us all about the first half and the exchanges that have taken place at the halfway point, it's Johnny Holmes.
Yeah, absolutely. RZ had the lion's share of possession, and you would say more of the chances. But on the break, AKC have looked absolutely fantastic. Rapid breaking, at pace, running at defenders, and that's how they got their goal. It was Cleonice who had a strike. It was blocked by DeWitt, but looking closer, you can see that the arm is out. Penalty correctly given. If a little harsh, you might say that the shot came in fiercely and at close range, but they do get given these days. It was given, and it was finished off by Kramer. And since then, AKC have been the better side. They've had a couple of chances. That man Cleonice again, breaking at pace, shooting straight at Ryan. That's the tale of the first half. Let's see what the second half brings for us.
Thank you very much for that, Johnny. We'll be back with Johnny in the second half. AKC Valvik are leading RZ Alkmaar at half-time in the Eredivisie. Back to the Premier League now. Glamorous sunshine in East London, and enjoying the sunshine is Billy Andrews, where Paquetá has just gone down with an injury.
Yeah, just over the 2 minute mark, and Lucas Paquetá went up for a header against Conor Gallagher. Seemed to clip his ankle almost, and he was down for a good while, smacking the ground, and he got some attention from the medical staff. And of course, with those new rules, he would have to go off for 30 seconds as Ward-Prowse lines up his first set piece for West Ham. But I did say Paquetá's head might not be in it. Have to wait and see whether he comes on, and that's almost a good chance for Chelsea, with Sanchez coming out quickly to smother the acrobatic effort from Thomas Souček, and Chelsea can break through Carney Chukwuemeka. But 5 minutes gone, still 0-0 at the London Stadium.
Thank you very much, Billy. Now, Manchester City might have missed out on the Community Shield, but they made up for it this week by winning on penalties. Second time they've had to go to penalties already this season in August. I think that's ever happened before, surely, in the history of football. The team having 2 penalty shootouts before the end of August. Manchester City won 1 and lost 1. They won in a week against Sevilla to lift the European Super Cup. They were behind at half-time. They came back, and it forced penalties. Kyle Walker scoring the winner. Here he is.
Yeah, it was always going to be a tough game, obviously, the start of the season and stuff. But listen, I thought the lads put in a good performance. I just feel that we need to be more clinical in front of goal. But we got the job done, and that's what we came to do, is win the Super Cup. Yeah, if anyone has played with me, they know that I don't like taking penalties. So I don't like letting people down if I miss. So the gaffer put me as number 5. So I had to just obviously the captaincy and leadership, and go and take the penalty. And thankfully it went in, and it was a winning one.
The goals, powered by NairaBet.
And there has been a goal in our featured game in the Premier League. Less than 7 minutes on the clock. And I can tell you the goal has gone to West Ham United. And a goal that has been set up from a very well taken corner from Ward-Prowse into the back post. The header downwards and into the net. Billy Andrews will be here in just a second to tell us all about that goal. West Ham United 1, Chelsea 0. Not the start that Mauricio Pochettino would have wanted in the London derby this afternoon, a crowded penalty area, but Chelsea just left that West Ham player unmarked at the back post, and the rest, as they say, Billy Andrews, is history. What a start for West Ham United.
What a start for West Ham United. What a start to life in the claret and blue for James Ward-Prowse. A fantastic delivery to the back post, an out-swinging corner with that deadly right foot. And there is Nav Algerd, completely gets the better of, I think it's Conor Gallagher, and combination of those, him and Carney Chukwuemeka, rises up and heads down into the ground, and it goes past Robert Sanchez before he can even move. He caused problems from his first corner, James Ward-Prowse. It was actually Jared Bowen who had that acrobatic effort that was smothered by Sanchez. They didn't learn from it, Chelsea. Corner put it to the exact same place. Algerd was there. And after 7 minutes, it's West Ham United 1, Chelsea 0.
Nathan Guard with the goal for West Ham United. So, wow, what a start to the game. Well, we thought there would be goals. We spoke to Ayo at Nairabet. He didn't think there'd be too many, but there's an early one. Still a long way to go in that game. West Ham United 1, Chelsea 0. Not the start that Chelsea would have wanted, but they were slow starters last week, of course. Same time last week against Liverpool, when they settled into the game, having fallen behind. They got themselves back and they could have won it. So, still a long way to go, but not the start that Chelsea and Mauricio Pochettino would have wanted. And at the other end, there is a shout for a penalty, and VAR are looking at the penalty shout, because Jackson has been brought down by Areola, checking for a possible penalty. They're also checking for a possible offside. So Jackson's gone around the goalkeeper. He's been brought down, and we'll wait on this one at the moment. It looks like he might have just strayed into an offside position, which therefore rules out the penalty, regardless of whether it's a penalty or not. If he's offside, he's offside. I suppose that's the first thing they're looking at. Having looking at it, they've not drawn the lines yet. It was offside, and so the the penalty won't count. It won't be judged. They would have probably looked at the penalty and the offside. They looked at the offside first. That's the first phase of play. It's offside. We'll go back to Billy Andrews. In fact, let's go to Billy Andrews now. Billy, I'm just surmising here, and really, it's offside, marginal, but they've drawn the lines. Do you think it was a penalty had it not been offside?
Well, if he was onside, it definitely was a penalty. Areola made contact with his legs. It was lovely from Jackson just to knock it round the French goalkeeper for West Ham. But he was doing this all of last week against Liverpool, sort of hanging on the end of a defender's shirt and just on that cusp of offside and onside. If he can get that balance right, if he can get that timing right, he's going to score a lot of goals for Chelsea and cause a lot of problems for the Premier League defenders this season. He's got it wrong this time, but it's a danger for West Ham not to step off him too much, just to keep an eye on him, keep him close, because he was offside that time, but next time he could very well be on.
Excellent, thank you very much, Billy. Ben Rama's down holding his knee at the moment, so there is a break in play, but certainly this game has had plenty of talking point in the opening exchanges. Naif Agerd has scored after just 7 minutes to give West Ham United the lead. The Moroccan international rising high from a James Ward-Prowse centre from a corner. Brilliant ball in, and they didn't really pick him up. They didn't deal with him, Chelsea, and he powered the ball beyond the reach of the Chelsea goalkeeper and into the corner to give West Ham United the perfect start at the London Stadium as the shadow casts slowly across the pitch. We've got more shade than sunshine now, but I would imagine it's a cauldron of heat out there at the London Stadium, where it remains 1-0. to West Ham United. Let's delve into our other game that we're featuring this afternoon. Ryan Benjamin is at the Stadion Duschbank Park. Eintracht Frankfurt kicking off their Bundesliga campaign in Germany against Darmstadt, who I'm sure will be more than happy if they can end this season without being relegated. Telling us about the early exchanges, Ryan Benjamin.
Yeah, it's a good start here from Frankfurt. They're popping the ball around nicely. Of course, Dino Topmöller was an assistant to Julian Nagelsmann at both Bayern and Leipzig. So if you like the way his teams play, I think we'll like the way Frankfurt play as well as the season goes on. Some bad news for Frankfurt as Sebastian Rode hobbles off injured. The veteran captain, kind of an innocuous injury really. I think he might have twisted his ankle, but he's had to hobble off. It's a full house at the Duschbank Park for this derby, the Hessen derby, between these two local rivals, kind of in the German West Midlands. Darmstadt looking really just not to get relegated, so I think they're putting themselves around quite nicely. 0-0 here at the moment, and they'll be very pleased with that after 11 minutes.
Excellent. Thank you very much for that. We'll be right across to Ryan Benjamin as and when the action unfolds. There's a yellow card being brandished at the moment in the game between West Ham United and Chelsea. Billy Andrews will be able to tell us about that in a couple of minutes' time. I think it's the goal scorer, Edward, that's been shown the yellow card. Indeed it is, for pulling back on Raheem Sterling, and he becomes a yellow card early in the game. Just 13 minutes gone there. The goal scorer with a yellow card. West Ham 1, Chelsea 0. AKC Valvik are leading RZ Alkmaar 1-0 at half-time. We've just heard in our first of two matches in the Bundesliga, Union Berlin 4-1 winners today against Mainz. A good win for them. Kevin Behrens with a hat-trick of headers in that game. Billy Andrews has seen that yellow card and can tell us all about the first caution of the game, which has gone to the same person that got the first goal of the game, Billy.
Yeah, I'll get into the book for a pull on the shirt of Raheem Sterling. It all came actually from a West Ham chance. A lovely pass down the right-hand side by James Ward-Prowse to Mikel Antonio. Got the better of Thiago Silva. Went to cut inside, but Axel Disasi and Levi Colwill were back there already. There was a couple of blocks in the box, and then the ball fell to Nicholas Jackson, who just sprinted past. He tussled with Alguer to begin with, and then found Raheem Sterling, and Sterling just pulled back quite cynically. The free kick's been taken. Come to nothing at the moment, so as it stands, it's still 1-0 to West Ham at the London Stadium.
Thank you very much, Billy Andrews, our reporter this afternoon, our senior reporter, watching the London derby between West Ham and Chelsea, where there has already been a goal, and Chelsea looking for an equaliser. Let's go back to Billy Andrews. Chelsea, big chance. The header's gone over the crossbar.
Yeah, big chance for Chelsea. Big chance for Nicholas Jackson to open his Chelsea account in the Premier League. A lovely ball in from Ben Chilwell from that left-hand side, but he just got underneath it, Nicholas Jackson, over the crossbar. Didn't cause Areola any issues at all, but they're growing into this game similarly like they grew into the game against Liverpool last week. And we all know how that one finished, 1 apiece. So there's only 15 minutes gone in this game, but it's still anyone's to fight for. But West Ham still 1-0 up.
Excellent. Thank you very much for that, Billy. Last night, Julian Alvarez scored a winner for Premier League champions Manchester City as they kept another clean sheet in a 1-0 home win over Newcastle United at the Etihad. Kylian Mbappe scored for PSG in their League One match away at Toulouse. Ligue 1 match away at Toulouse, I should say. But a late equaliser from the Moroccan Zakaria Aboukrao has ensured that PSG were denied victory. Disaster for Lyon in that game, and they were down to in another game, rather, disaster for Lyon. They were down to 10 men at home to Montpellier. The Nigerian striker Akor Adams, 2 goals last week. He got another one yesterday, and a 4-1 win for Montpellier. There's always goals when Montpellier are playing, for and against. They are great entertainment. 3-2 now for the young Nigerian striker Akor Adams. 2 more goals for Jude Bellingham as Real Madrid continued their bright start in La Liga in Spain with a 3-1 win at Almeria. He has hit the ground running there. Vinicius Junior scoring the other goal. Back in the Premier League, the early evening kickoff. Well, that went the way of Tottenham Hotspur. 2-0 they managed to beat Manchester United in the game at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, which of course we had covered right here on Football Live yesterday afternoon with Josh Bailey. Let's hear from the Manchester United manager Erik ten Hag, and not a happy man after a defeat in North London.
I think first half we play really well, and against the good Spurs side, I think we dominated the game in and out of possession. Spurs, they had really problems, but you have to score a goal, and the meaning of the first goal is so important. And yeah, so we didn't. And then I think already it started just before halftime. We collect 3 unnecessary bookings. Then we switched off. We already conceded a big chance. And in the second half, we said in halftime, keep focus, keep on the job to do, and keep on the front foot, keep proactive. And that's just what we didn't do.
That was Erik ten Hag speaking after the 2-0 defeat for Manchester United yesterday. A game which, of course, you heard right here on Football Live. And you're hearing Chelsea against West Ham this afternoon at the London Stadium. It's currently West Ham United 1, Chelsea 0. An early goal from Agard in that game. A header from a James Ward-Prowse corner. Billy Andrews is watching this game for us. James Ward-Prowse, I've just been watching him. He's in the middle of everything that West Ham have just put together, a little move in the midfield. He's slotted in seamlessly as if he's been there for seasons, not just a few days. And I think he's going to make an enormous impact for West Ham, isn't he?
He's going to be a fantastic player for West Ham. I think criminally underrated is the term I'd use for his time at Southampton. Overlooked by a lot of people. Getting some minutes for England now, and he'll hope that he can carry on the form that he had last season, that he can get picked for the Euro squad to play a part in Germany in 2024. But yeah, he started deep alongside Souček, but he's now playing pretty much everywhere for West Ham. He's popped up on the right, he's popped up front alongside Mikel Antonio. He's been there a matter of days, but he's pulling the strings for West Ham as if he's come through the academy like he did at Southampton. So it's only 20 minutes or so into his first game, and then he looks like he's been there for years. Still 1-0 to West Ham.
And, you know, they'll be very pleased with the way it's gone so far, West Ham United. Brought in these 2 players this week, James Ward-Prowse obviously being one of them, and it's strengthened them. They needed strengthening. I don't think they had a particularly good couple of transfer windows last season, and yet they've gone on and won a trophy and stayed up. The 2 seasons before that, they were knocking at the right end of the table. Is there any possibility with a little bit more strength in depth that they can be playing in the top half of the Premier League and going deep in the Europa League? Is that a possibility?
There is every possibility, but it's finding the right players. There's still all this rumour and, you know, of the axe hanging over the head of David Moyes. I think if they are going to look to be a top 10 Europa League side, possibly he's not the manager to take them forward. But at the moment, he's doing fine. And for some people at West Ham, fine is where they want to be. And if you talk to any West Ham fans, fine is not good enough. I think you're right, the investment is poor. They've got all this money from Declan Rice, and at the moment it looks like they're investing it well. We'll have to wait and see how good Edson Alvarez is when he plays his first minutes in the Premier League for West Ham. But he was fantastic at Ajax, a player that they will miss, Ajax. So let's see, the signs are there. They do need a striker to replace Gianluca Scamacca. And of course, possibly another centre-back after their move for Harry Maguire fell through.
Yes, thank you very much for that, Billy. I was talking to a West Ham fan yesterday. I think he's still crawling around the bars of Prague after that victory in the Europa Conference final. He said to me, I got married, but I've had 2 children, but the greatest day of my life was that day in Prague in May when they won the Europa Conference League. That's how much it means to West Ham United. A trophy on the sideboard, which is more than could be said for many teams in the Premier League from last season, because just about everything else was won by Manchester City, of course, apart from Manchester United winning the Carabao Cup. But yeah, that's for another day. We're just heading into a break now. We're going to be heading back to our good friends Tony and company at Brila FM in the studio, where they can bring you bang up to date with all the social media and the ad break. And we'll be back on Football Live in around about 8 minutes' time. Over to you, Tony. This is a commercial break exclusive to Nigeria and Africa alone. But don't worry, Football Live will be back very, very shortly.
Sports Radio 88.9 Brila FM.
You are listening to Football Live. Live and exclusive on Brila FM.
The Premier League, the Bundesliga, Serie A, La Liga.
4 hours of football every Saturday and Sunday on Brila FM with Football Live.
You are listening to Football Live on Brila FM 88.9 and 101.1 FM.
Take Brila anywhere, everywhere.
Yes, you can take Brila with you anywhere, everywhere.
The Brila app is available for free download on Google Play. It is also there on the Apple iTunes Store. Yes, on Google Play and the Apple iTunes Store.
Look out for the Brila football and microphone logo with the letters BRILA in green colour.
That is our authentic app. It gives you Brila FM, Brila.net, Brilasports.tv and all the extra betting tips, live score, plus our Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Google Plus and YouTube posts.
Sports fun. You can post your videos and eyewitness reports.
Brila, B-R-I-L-A. Available for download on Google Play and the Apple iTunes Store.
This is Football Live. And you could not have scripted this.
It's crazy, absolutely insane.
Oh my dearie me. I don't want to laugh or cry.
It's a show that's packed to the brim. Oh my word, what is going on here?
An unbelievable day here on Football Live.
Means there's action everywhere you look. Great entertainment.
That's fantastic.
Wow, just wow.
You are listening to Football Live. Live and exclusive on Brila FM.
You are listening to Football Live. Powered by NairaBet. With Barry Swain.
27 minutes gone in the game at Stamford Bridge. Still West Ham United 1, Chelsea 0. And we'll be across with Billy Andrews in just a second. But before we go anywhere else, I'll tell you there's been a goal in our featured game in the Eredivisie.
The goals, powered by NairaBet.
Let's cross to Johnny Holmes, who's watching the game between RKC Valvik and RZ Alkmaar. Which way's it gone, Johnny?
RKC are the architects of their own downfall here as RZ strike back, and it's Pavlidis who picks the pockets of Gari, who was dilly-dallying at the back, not sure what he's playing at there, trying to spread a ball across. They always said to me, my coach said back in the day, don't play it across your keeper when you've got a runner coming in. Pavlidis was the runner coming in, and he unleashes a fierce shot goalwards, and sliding in, last ditch, it's Van den Bui trying agonisingly to get a block in. It deflects off his boot and flies into the back of the net. RZ have made changes here. They've brought on Poku and Lardo. They look to be working. They are back level. We've played 56 minutes here.
The goals, powered by NairaBet.
Chelsea fans, a lot of you were calling in on top of the hour and talking to Tony and the team and the Brila FM studios. Not too many of you were showing too much optimism, but let me tell you something. There has been an equalising goal in the game between West Ham United and Chelsea. That's right, Chelsea are back on level terms. And if my calculations are right, Billy Andrews, a first ever goal for the goal scorer.
Yeah, a first ever goal for Kane Chukwuemeka. The pressure had been building from Chelsea. Initially, Nicholas Jackson had a good chance, but that was blocked by Thomas Souček. That ball fell to Ben Chilwell. Ben Chilwell back to Nicholas Jackson, then back to Ben Chilwell. Chilwell got right down to the byline, tried to find Enzo Fernandez. Kurt Zouma just stuck a leg out. That ball deflected to Kane Chukwuemeka. Took one touch to jink it round Kurt Zouma, find some space, and Kale Beauty with his right foot into the far corner. Just half an hour gone at the London Stadium. It's West Ham 1, Chelsea 1.
Billy, while you're there, just a little bit of deja vu, really. It took them 37 minutes last week to get back to 1-1 against Liverpool, but they've gone from 1-0 down to 1-1, clawed back, and they'll be hoping that they can continue to dominate this game like they did that game, but go on to win it. West Ham, well, it's deja vu for them as well, because they were ahead last week. Jared Bowen's goal cancelled out by Dominic Solanke in a 1-1 draw at Bournemouth. But did you see the goal coming?
You could see the goal coming. I'd say there was a chance for Nicholas Jackson 2 or 3 minutes before, while we were talking to Tony and the team. Just got stuck under his feet. I think last week Raheem Sterling was one of the best players for Chelsea. This week so far he's not had the best half an hour he'll ever have as a Chelsea player, but Nicholas Jackson once again is looking fantastically lively, and Kane Chukwuemeka, what a fantastic first goal. The pressure has been building, and like last week, they started the game poorly. They've built pressure, and it's been all them since the 15th, 16th minute. So we'll wait to see if West Ham can respond or whether David Moyes makes any changes. But at the moment, Chelsea very much on top and looking to turn this one around. Still 1-1.
Thank you very much for that, Billy. Billy Andrews is our senior reporter across the game at the London Stadium. Chelsea have a corner at the moment, but it's standing in West Ham 1, Chelsea 1. Chelsea back on level terms. And all of those Chelsea fans that were thinking today is not going to be their day, maybe, just maybe, today is going to be their day.
The goals, powered by NairaBet.
Well, that little jingle there can only mean one thing. West Ham fans on their feet, Chelsea fans on their feet. Please sit down. It wasn't at the London Stadium. Let me tell you that RZ Alkmaar have now gone ahead, and to tell us about the goal, it's Johnny Holmes.
They've turned it around here so quickly after the break. 1-0 down at half-time, RZ. 2-1 up now after 60 minutes. And Pavlidis is jinking through the RKSA defence again. Brilliant play, strength, poise, power. And in the end, it's turned into the back of the net by De Witt. It comes to him, it breaks to him as Pavlidis slightly loses control and slots it home. 2-1, comeback complete. Can they see it out now? We've played 60 minutes here.
AZ Alkmaar ahead, their noses in front so far at the London Stadium. West Ham United, 4 shots, 2 on target. Chelsea, 8 shots, 2 on target. It's 1-1 in that game. Let's head back across to Billy Andrews. Those stats, is that a fair reflection on what you've seen in the opening 32 and a half minutes?
It's a fair reflection on the game, and to be honest, Barry, I think it's probably a fair reflection on Chelsea's issues with scoring goals at the moment. 8 shots, only 2 on target. They need that genuine striker, don't they? But strikers are at a premium. We saw Harry Kane obviously went to Bayern Munich. Victor Osimhen seemingly priced out of a move away from Napoli, with them wanting around 120 million euros. Manchester United had to settle for Rasmus Højlund, a relatively unproven name. I think the only team with the striking department sorted for probably the next decade in the Premier League is Manchester City with Haaland and Alvarez. So Chelsea, like I said, they've got Lukaku that they could bring back to try and just change things up if they wanted that target man, but they've got to start making the most of these. It cost them at Chelsea, it cost them at Liverpool, I should say, last time out. And the most goal threat they had in the second half actually come from Ben Chilwell. So we'll see what happens in the remainder of this game. But 34 minutes gone with West Ham now on the attack. It's West Ham 1, Chelsea 1.
Thank you very much, Billy Andrews, across that game. It looks a very interesting game as well. And Lukaku, another name that's bandied around. But, whatever you say about Romelu Lukaku, he is still one of the top strikers in Europe, in European football. And maybe the answer is right underneath their noses. Who knows? He gets plenty of criticism, doesn't he, Romelu Lukaku? But we'll come up with a goal or two. Be interested to see what happens to him in the coming weeks and what happens in that Chelsea striking position, of course. Now, yesterday, a team that recently lost their star striker managed to do rather well without him. Tottenham Hotspur, 2-0 winners against West Ham United. Harry Kane off to Bayern Munich, where he's already scoring goals and assisting. His old partner in crime is Heung-min Son. He is now the captain of Tottenham Hotspur, and he was a very happy man after the 2-0 win over Manchester United last night.
Look, we miss him because obviously he's one of the best strikers in the world. So, but we, as a sportsmanship, I think we all respect that his decision, club's decision. So I wish what I say all the time. I'm very, very close with Harry, so I wish Harry do amazing things and wins many things as possible. And yeah, also for the club. So we have to do it without him because he's a footballer and we have to move forward without him. So, but Richie did a fantastic job today and very, very happy for him.
You are listening to Football Live. Live and exclusive on Brila FM. You are listening to Football Live. Live and exclusive on Brila FM.
The Premier League, the Bundesliga, Serie A, La Liga.
4 hours of football every Saturday and Sunday on Brila FM with Football Live.
You are listening to Football Live on Brila FM 88.9 and 101.1 FM.
There's been a chance for Chelsea and an odd moment for Paquetá. Billy Andrews in the game at London Stadium.
Yeah, that chance for Chelsea. Once again, it's Raheem Sterling and Nicholas Jackson. Those two forming a beautiful partnership in the early days at Chelsea together. It was Raheem Sterling into Nicholas Jackson. He beat Nauf Al-Ghaid, got it right down to the byline and cut it back into a beautiful position. But once again, there was no one there and it was cleared out to Paquetá. Paquetá up against Raheem Sterling. He felt he was fouled by Sterling, so just stopped. Raheem Sterling carried on going. And then it was pulled back by Sterling to Nicholas Jackson, but his shot was blocked. Paquetá complaining at the linesman and the referee. He's since been booked, and also going into the book for Chelsea's Axel Disasi for a tackle and a foul on Mikel Antonio. And just before you came to me, Paquetá actually just kissed the outside of the post, coming very close, but he does look like a man with a head not in London. But he's come very close for West Ham. Just an effort from Range, really, almost a slide tackle shot. Beat Robert Sanchez, kissed off the post. West Ham, after some heavy pressure from Chelsea, are coming back into this game. 37 minutes gone. West Ham won, Chelsea won.
Yeah, just as we come back, Enzo with a ball over the top, but very nearly found Raheem Sterling. Couldn't quite control it in time, and the goalkeeper comes out and smothers at the angle. Still 1-1 in that match at Stamford Bridge. Okay, in our other featured matches, RKC Valvik 1, RZ Alkmaar 2 was the latest last time we were there. Let's head across to that game again, shall we? Johnny Holmes is our reporter, and the away side have done well to get back into this game, and it's been turned on its head, hasn't it?
It absolutely has. I mean, at half-time, it was all about how could RZ get back into this one. They made changes. They brought Poku and Lardo on. They took off Van Bommel and Odgaard, which I thought was an interesting one. Both of those players had half chances during the match. Odgaard in particular was quite creative off the right-hand side. But I'm not a coach, and so it proves. Poku and Lardo very instrumental in RZ getting back into this one. It was an opportunity for them to make ground in the week. Of course, they would have had their eyes on the Feyenoord game, the Rotterdam derby early on, where Feyenoord again dropping points. Looks like RZ are cruising towards a victory here. They are still 2-1 up, and we've played 65 minutes.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Johnny Holmes. From Johnny Holmes to Ryan Benjamin, from the Eredivisie to the Bundesliga. Eintracht Frankfurt against Darmstadt. First half action is being watched by Ryan Benjamin. Ryan, still goalless at the home side, pushing for that opener?
Still goalless, and Darmstadt will be very, very pleased with this. It's their first Bundesliga campaign in 6 years. They've had one chance themselves. Matthias Hunset producing a great save from Kevin Trapp, who parried it away, a curling shot from the edge of the box. But Frankfurt themselves haven't created a great deal. They've had a couple of little half chances. There was a curling effort from Jakic, which flew over the bar. But apart from that, it's coming up to half time, and Darmstadt are looking very, very comfortable. Their fans, who are in great voice, as they tend to be in the Bundesliga, will be very happy with this Derby Day display back in the Bundesliga. 38 minutes gone, and it's 0-0.
You are listening to Football Live. Live and exclusive on Brila FM.
The goals, powered by NairaBet.
As is so often the case, we come away from a game and within seconds the ball lands in the back of the goal net, and that is exactly what has happened at the game between Eintracht Frankfurt and Darmstadt. I can tell you that the home side, many people expecting them to see that one through today, through Randall Kolo Muani has scored 5 minutes from half time, I should say. So we'll head across and hear about that goal in just a couple of moments with our reporter at that game, Ryan Benjamin, keeping him on his toes this afternoon. Eintracht Frankfurt taking the lead in that game. Randall Kolo Muani with the goal. Let's head back to the game at I was going to say Stamford Bridge, but we're the other side. We're not West London, we're East London today. It's the London Stadium in Stratford. Chelsea on the ascendancy at the moment. They're trying to look for a second goal, and I can tell you, we're not going to go back to Billy. And the reason we're not going to go back to Billy is because Chelsea have just been awarded a penalty. Raheem Sterling has been tripped by the goal scorer for West Ham, Agard, and it's going to be a penalty. Paqueta went diving in, and it was Souček that came across, in fact, and Souček brings down Sterling, and the referee had a perfect view, and he saw Souček going in, and he pointed straight to the spot, despite the Czech Republic international waving his finger and saying, "No way, Jose." Let me tell you, Chelsea have just been awarded a penalty. It might be a slight delay because VAR might just look into it, and indeed I can confirm that VAR are looking into it. So a Chelsea penalty is 1-1, and Chelsea maybe, just maybe, with the opportunity to turn this game right on its head. And all those callers that spoke to Tony on the hour saying, this is going to be a home win, this is going to be a home win, West Ham winning 1-0. What are your thoughts now? Because suddenly Chelsea have turned this game around. VAR are happy with the referee's decision, and it's a penalty to Chelsea, and we will be right across that with Billy Andrews in just a few moments' time. So, a penalty to Chelsea and a big moment in the game at the London Stadium. Of course, Agard heading West Ham United ahead. Chelsea levelling, and I can tell you that Chelsea have missed the penalty. Enzo Fernandez has missed a penalty for Chelsea. We'll be across to Billy Andrews to hear all about that penalty miss in a minute. All the drama as it unfolds right here on Football Live. Chelsea awarded a penalty. VAR gave it the thumbs up. Up steps Enzo Fernandez. Oh, my dearie me, he's missed it. It was actually a very good save from the West Ham goalkeeper who pushes it away, but it was a good height for the goalkeeper. And it's still 1-1, and we'll be across to Billy Andrews to hear all about that penalty in just a few moments' time. I can tell you, we can go to Billy now, actually. Let's go to Billy in West London. Billy, first thing I have to ask the question, really. Good penalty or bad penalty?
Bad penalty, comfortable save, I think, in the end for Alphonse Areola. The confidence of Enzo Fernandez. The minute the referee pointed to the spot, he picked the ball up and put it down on the penalty spot. I'll just tell you, it was a horrible, lazy tackle from Thomas Souček. Can't dive in like that in your own box anyway, let alone when you've got a player so good on the ball like Raheem Sterling. So this penalty from Enzo Fernandez, short run-up, horrible, comfortable save for Alphonse Areola. A missed opportunity, and those callers that phoned into Tony, I think their pessimism might be rubbing off on this Chelsea side. They've had a golden opportunity to turn it around just before half-time. 44 minutes gone at the London Stadium. It's still West Ham 1, Chelsea 1.
Billy, while you're there, Carney Chukwuemeka, the goal scorer, got to mention him. He just picked up another yellow card, in fact. That's 2 yellow cards in 2 games in the Premier League for him. But he scored a goal, excellent goal, good goal it was. So, you know, he's a man that we're expecting to fall rapidly down the pecking order. He's one of those that's certainly probably going to lose his place with all these new midfielders coming in. But he's gone and made a statement this afternoon and said, look, hold on a minute, I'm here, I'm all right. I'm scoring your goals. And he's made a statement, hasn't he?
He's made a statement, and to make it even more of a statement, Barry, not only has he done it in a London derby away from home, he's done it in front of the England manager, Gareth Southgate, who sat in the Bobby Moore stand at the London Stadium this afternoon. So it's not been capped for England yet. There's every possibility in some games coming up, but robust challenge from Emerson on his former Chelsea teammate Raheem Sterling. James Ward-Prowse, the new man, coming over just to tidy things up. Emerson has now been booked alongside Carney Chukwuemeka. So that's 2 yellows for each side. But yeah, you'd like to think he's playing a bit higher, almost alongside Sterling and Nicholas Jackson. But you'd like to think the money they paid for Mykhailo Mudryk, he'd come in once his form picks up. But there's no guarantee with that. And as long as Carney Chukwuemeka is playing well and scoring goals like that, Mauricio Pochettino can't really afford to drop him.
No, absolutely not. Thank you very much, Billy. Still 1-1 in that game. 6 minutes of added time. They're into the first minute of those 6 minutes at the London Stadium. 1-1. Can't take your eyes off of this one. Carney Chukwuemeka being watched, of course, like Billy said, by Gareth Southgate this afternoon. He's been playing for the under-21s. I saw him play for England under-19s and England under-20s. He caught the eye for me then when he was playing at Aston Villa. He must have caught Chelsea's eye because they quickly went and signed him. And he's a big part of that picture this season. Of course, Chelsea not in Europe, so this massive squad isn't going to be rotated perhaps as much as they would have liked. If they were in the Europa Conference League, this is the perfect size squad if they were in the Europa Conference League or the Europa League, but they're not this season. So a lot of these players are not perhaps going to be given the game time that they would have been had they have been in Europe this season. Chelsea on the front foot with half-time fast approaching, and it remains West Ham United 1, Chelsea 1, and we'll be back across with with Billy Andrews in just a second to tell us about another big chance that's gone the way of Chelsea before half-time, but they haven't capitalised on that in the 6 minutes of added time at the end of the first half, and it remains 1-1. Elsewhere in our featured matches today, RKC Valvik are taking on AZ Alkmaar, and it was half-time. 1-0 to Valvik, but Alkmaar have come back and leading that one by 2-1. And we've also got a game in the Bundesliga, which we're going to go and focus on now, actually. Eintracht Frankfurt against Darmstadt. This game kicked off at exactly the same time as the match between Chelsea and West Ham United, or West Ham United and Chelsea. And at the Stadion Douchebank Park, Ryan Benjamin, still 1-0 to the home side?
Yeah, the deadlock has been broken. Randall Kolo Muani, subject to that €65 million bid from PSG, has maybe added another €10 million or so onto his fee. A close-range tap-in after a lovely team move. So Jesper Lindstrom lay it off to Philip Max, the left-back, who whips in a low cross, and Muani's just there, practically on the goal line, tapping it in, putting Frankfurt 1-0 up in the derby. A brilliant half, really, for Frankfurt. They've been pretty solid, and they haven't been too bad this half when it comes to Darmstadt's physicality. And Muani's got his goal. There's a couple of minutes to go until half-time. 1-0 to Frankfurt.
Yes, indeed. French international is Randall Kolo Muani. He's only 6'2", he's 24, signed from Nantes at the beginning of last season. Last season, his stats were fairly good. 15 goals in 32 appearances for Frankfurt. He knows where the net is in the Bundesliga, and he's up and running once again this afternoon. And for AZ Alkmaar, we heard earlier Vangelis Pavlidis scoring for them. He's a player that can score goals as well. 30 goals in 62 since his signing a couple of years ago from Swain. He is scoring goals for fun, the Greek international. He's played 30 times for Greece as well and scored 6 goals. He's a man that knows where the net is. Billy Andrews is watching West Ham against Chelsea. Chelsea have had another chance, but I think unlike Vangelis Pavlidis, Chelsea don't seem to know where the net is, do they?
Well, I was just about to ask, Barry, any chance Todd Bowley could get on the phone and possibly sign the Greek international? But the chance came, and it was fantastic from Raheem Sterling. I said he's not had the best half hour, the first half hour of this game, but he was being booed now by the West Ham fans after that tussle with Emerson, but he just puts the afterburners on. He goes past Emerson, he goes past Algerd, and he goes past James Ward-Prowse. He pulls it back, it goes through the legs of Nicholas Jackson, which then goes through the legs of Kane Chukwuemeka. It falls to Ben Chilwell, whose shot is blocked on the line by Kurt Zouma and then cleared by Sofal. They had a free kick, but it came to nothing, and the resulting corner was pretty poor as well. So Chelsea just trying to put some more pressure on after that penalty miss. Enzo Fernandez, despite the miss, he's picked his chin up off the floor and he's played some fantastic passes since he missed that penalty. But we're coming up to half-time now. West Ham hanging on. Still West Ham 1, Chelsea 1.
Neve Agard, after just 7 minutes, giving West Ham United the lead. Kane Chukwuemeka equalising. And then Enzo Fernandez missing from the penalty spot after Sterling was brought down by Souček. Penalty given. VAR were happy with it. And it counted for everything in the end for West Ham as they saved the penalty. Areola in goal, getting right, pushing away the penalty from Enzo Fernandez. We're deep into stoppage time. We've got about 20 seconds of stoppage time to go. There will be a little bit more because Chelsea have got an injury on the pitch at the moment. I think it's Raheem Sterling. I can't quite see, but the medical team are in. And in the meantime, let me tell you about another goal.
The goals, powered by NairaBet.
Danny DeWitt has scored a third goal for AZ Alkmaar. They were 1-0 down at half-time. It's Chukwuemeka, by the way, that's injured. We go across to Billy Andrews and hear about that injury in just a second. It's now AZ Alkmaar leading 3-1 at RKC Valvik at the Mandat Makers Stadium. We'll be across to hear about that goal from Johnny Holmes in just a second. Let's quickly pop over to West London again. An injury to Chukwuemeka. Hopefully it's not too serious, Billy.
Well, he looks in some discomfort, and it's that. Looks like they're testing his left knee. Mykhailo Mudrik's looking at some tactical charts as Algerd just tries to have a conference with his defenders, but he looks in some real discomfort, Kane Chukwuemeka, and it would be a real shame if he had to go off. He has been one of the best players on the pitch. So I will keep you posted if he does have to come off, if Mykhailo Mudryk does come on. We are on the cusp of half-time anyway, so he might not bring Mudryk on until half-time, but some real distress on the face of Kane Chukwuemeka. But he is getting up and he is being helped to his feet by the coaching staff, so he should, it looks like he might be okay to carry on, but I will keep you posted. Still 1-1.
Mudryk is getting ready if he is injured. Let's go to the game in the Eredivisie, where we just told you about a third goal. That third goal wasn't actually scored by Danny DeWitt. It was scored by the man that we've just linked in our own inimitable way to Chelsea, Evangelos Pavlidis. Scores goals for fun. Maybe he's the answer to Chelsea's problems. You heard it first here with Billy Andrews and myself. It's unlikely to happen, but you just never know in football. How good is he? Well, we might be able to get some sort of answer from Johnny Holmes.
Well, let me tell you, if there are any scouts in the building here today, they will be faxing a message right back to their manager and saying, this man is hot. This man is amongst the goals. Pavlidis again receives the ball square from Poku. It's a lovely cross into feet. Pavlidis receives it and he just bends it into the top left corner. RZ out of sight now, surely. They've turned it around in this second half. Brilliant performance from Pavlidis. Certainly their player of the match. He's got 2 goals now, and it's 1 for David as well. 3-1 to RZ Alkmaar. We've played 81 minutes here.
He was on loan at Borussia Dortmund at one stage, but he couldn't get in their first team. Did score 7 for their seconds. Started his career at Bochum, then he went to Swain, and that's where the goals started to flow in the Eredivisie. He went to RZ, and it's now 32 and 63. That is better than 1 goal every 2 games. And he's scoring goals as well at international level. Now, let's go to Billy Andrews. Mudryk is getting ready to come on. Chukwuemeka was talking about him being built up as, perhaps a starter, perhaps one for the future. Certainly maybe even on the radar of England manager Gareth Southgate. What goes and happens is he picks up what looks to be a serious injury.
Yeah, as the half-time whistle goes at the London Stadium, he was helped off by both members of the medical staff, not wanting to put any pressure down on that left leg. So they didn't need the stretcher, but there was one close at hand. And it doesn't look good for Kane Chukwuemeka. They play Luton on Friday, but it looks like the second half we're going to see the Ukrainian Mykhailo Mudryk. I will just tell you about the 2 goals. Of course, it was a fantastic corner from James Ward-Prowse that led to the first one from Naif Algar. They had a corner about 5 minutes before that, which Chelsea didn't learn from. Robert Sanchez smothering Jared Bowen's acrobatic effort. The next corner came in. He rose above Conor Gallagher and headed into the ground. Robert Sanchez didn't even move. The second one, the equaliser for Chelsea, a fantastically well-worked goal from that man who's just gone off injured, actually, Kane Chukwuemeka. He jinked past Kurt Zuma after getting onto a rebounded ball and bent one into the right-hand side past Alphonse Areola. Chelsea had a chance through a penalty after a foul on Raheem Sterling by Thomas Souček to make it 2-1. It was a tame, poor effort from Enzo Fernandez and easily saved by Alphonse Areola. We'll see who comes on. It looks like it's going to be Mudryk for Chelsea in the second half. We'll see if they can build on that momentum they had in the first half, but it's 1-1 at the London Stadium, and you are listening to Football Live.
You are listening to Football Live on Brila FM.
Some of the best start from the streets of Africa. This is not just a game. It's a feeling within us. It's expressive. It's a passion. Play for the fun. Play for the thrill. Play responsibly. Proudly African. Bet with the best. NairaBet.
Coming up next Saturday on Football Live with Dean Kilford. Join us live and exclusive from 1 o'clock, including Arsenal taking on Fulham. Premier League action. Football Live will be around the ground chasing the goals.
You are listening to Football Live. Live and exclusive on Brila FM.
The Premier League, the Bundesliga, Serie A, La Liga.
4 hours of football every Saturday and Sunday on Brila FM with Football Live.
You are listening to Football Live on Brila FM 88.9 and 101.1 FM.
You are listening to Football Live, powered by NairaBet, with Barry Swain.
Yes, welcome back everyone. This is John Kane here. We'll be going back to Barry Swain very, very shortly. Let's give you the latest scores. It's in the English Premier League. At half-time, as you heard, is West Ham 1, Chelsea 1. In the German Bundesliga, at half-time as well, is Eintracht Frankfurt 1, Darmstadt 1. And in the Eredivisie, it's RKC Waalwijk 1, AZ Alkmaar 3. And after that short interfering for myself here, I'm going back to Barry Swain to carry on. Good afternoon again, Barry.
I'm here. I do apologise. I was multitasking and I was downloading a little bit of Sean Dyche for you, which we can hear in a little while after Aston Villa 4, Everton 0 in the early kick-off today in the Premier League. Of course, a bad afternoon at the office for Sean Dyche, and we'll be able to hear what he had to say to the media at Villa Park after that damning 4-0 defeat. And they are now rock bottom of the Premier League without a single point, without a single goal, and it's not looking very good at all for Everton at the moment. We heard earlier on with our own Richard Bond, who's an Everton fan, by the way, but we won't rub that in on the poor boy. We heard the 4-0 defeat at Aston Villa. Aston Villa, minus 4 goals. They were bottom of the table at the start of the weekend. Well, they've rectified that now, haven't they? 4-0 victory this afternoon, and a very good performance to go with it. And our featured game at the London Stadium in the Premier League, an all-London affair this afternoon. Chelsea have got themselves back into the game with an equaliser from Carney Chukwuemeka, who's since limped off what looks like a serious injury. He's going to be playing no further part. Chelsea, Enzo Fernandez missing a penalty, chance to give them the lead 2-1 at half-time. This after Agard had given West Ham an early lead with a header off of a corner from James Ward-Prowse, who didn't waste very long at all. Just 7 minutes into his debut and an assist already back in the Premier League. West Ham taking a dream start with them into the early stages of that game at home against Chelsea at the London Stadium. But Chelsea, just like last week, right here on Football Live, have aired their way back into the game very slowly but very surely, and now suddenly that game is right in the balance. Billy Andrews is with us this afternoon. We've allowed him a couple of minutes to go off, get a drink and recharge his batteries. Billy, you know, if you had to call this one at the moment, are you going to call it for Chelsea?
Only just, but it is that lack of clinical cutting edge in the final third that I think might cost them if anything's going to cost them in this game. Defensively, they look pretty sound from open play. It's just those set pieces they need to be careful with the likes of James Ward-Prowse to deliver them. But Nicholas Jackson, once again, it's just that last final piece is missing. His movement's fantastic. His speed is ridiculous. His first touch is 90% of the time first class. It's just that last piece. And you can say that about a lot of teams in the Premier League this season. You could say that certainly about Manchester United, but definitely for Chelsea. And to lose someone like Carney Chukwuemeka at half-time, who has finished for them, you know, it's going to be difficult in the second half because we've not seen the best of Mykhailo Mudryk in a Chelsea shirt. We've not seen what he can do or what he did do, I should say, at Shakhtar Donetsk, particularly in the Champions League. So if there's a time for him to take it, he's got the perfect opportunity to grab the opportunity with both hands and say, I'm sorry, but this is my position and I'm going to stay here.
Thank you very much for that, Billy Andrews. Second half coming up live and exclusive right here on Football Live this afternoon in the Premier League. More great action. 45 minutes to go. We're into the final hour of the show this afternoon. It's been a great show so far. We've had plenty of goals that we've brought you this afternoon, and I'm absolutely certain there will be some more along the way too. Sparta Rotterdam against Feyenoord was a local derby, and that one has ended 2-2. Very, very entertaining game, which we heard earlier on. Aston Villa 4, Everton 0, one-sided. Big win for them. Big win for Union Berlin as well, as they open up their Bundesliga campaign with a 4-1 home win over Mainz this afternoon. Plenty of goals in the game that's now into injury time in the second half. RKC Waalwijk were leading RZ Alkmaar at half-time, but their Greek goal machine, Vangelis Pavlidis, is at the double in that game, and they now lead by 3-1. West Ham 1, Chelsea 1 at half-time. We'll be across there for the second half very shortly. Half-time as well in the game between Eintracht Frankfurt and Darmstadt in the Bundesliga. I do beg your pardon, this afternoon. Big news in Scotland is that Celtic won't be winning the treble this year. They're out of the Scottish League Cup. They've lost 1-0 this afternoon away at Kilmarnock. What a result that is for Kilmarnock. We've already beaten Rangers at home by the same score a couple of weeks ago on match day 1 in the league. Wow, that's an amazing scoreline that. Kilmarnock 1, Celtic 0. Celtic are out of the Scottish League Cup this afternoon. Hibs and Hearts both playing today as well because of their involvement in the Europa Conference last week on Thursday. They're both through comfortably with home wins this afternoon. So that's where we're at. Estoril 2, Rio Ave 0 in Portugal. 8 minutes into stoppage time, and Alejandro Mendes has just made it 2-0, and that guarantees the result for the home side in that match. Let's head back to Johnny Holmes, who can tell us about a chance for Pavlidis to make it his hat-trick, but I don't think it's gone in, is it, Johnny?
It hasn't quite. It was an acrobatic effort from Pavlidis. He wanted to secure that third goal, that hat-trick goal, with something special. You could see him lining it up as the ball was whipped in from the right-hand side for RZ, and he thought, I'm going to try it. He shifts his body, he gets into position, he goes for the spectacular, he goes for the overhead kick. He gets it all wrong, fluffs his lines. Wasn't quite Cristiano Ronaldo, wasn't quite Gareth Bale, but I tell you what, Pavlidis, he's had a decent game today, hasn't he? 2 goals. It's currently RKC 1, RZ 3. We're into the second minute of injury time here.
Excellent. Thank you very much for that. Let's head into the Bundesliga. Let's catch up with how things are at half-time in the game that Ryan Benjamin is watching. Eintracht Frankfurt against Darmstadt.
Yeah, 1-0 here. Moani's goal separating the two sides. They're going to come out in a couple of minutes. And Darmstadt initially were pretty solid and would have been really happy with the way things were going. They didn't concede that many chances. Frankfurt's had about 67% of the ball, but they've only had 2 shots on goal, and one of them was that strike by Moani with about 5 minutes to go. So a lot to do here for Darmstadt still. I've just seen a graphic with their average positions, and the average position of every single player was in their own half. There wasn't anybody who was in the final third or in midfield or what have you. So it's their first game back in the division in 6 years. They've got a lot of work to do here in the derby. 1-0 to Frankfurt. Kick-off's in a couple of minutes.
That's kick-off in the second half until the Chelsea and West Ham players will be out very shortly for the game at the London Stadium, where it's currently 1-1 in the game between West Ham United and Chelsea. It's been a really good game, that one, as well. One-sided game in the Austrian Bundesliga, where the champions are running away with it away at Hartberg this afternoon. They are leading currently 5-1 at the Pro Fertil Arena in Hartberg. Hartberg 1, Salzburg Big win for them. 4 clear goals at the moment, still playing in that. 4 clear goals for Aston Villa this afternoon against Everton. Of course, I disappeared off the face of the earth for just a few seconds, a few minutes ago. My producer John Kane had to step in. Where was I? Well, I'll tell you where I was. I was multitasking and I was grabbing some audio of Sean Dyche, who spoke after that game. Everton losing 4-0 at Aston Villa. A disastrous afternoon for Everton. A disastrous afternoon for Mr. Sean Dyche.
Miles off it. They were better in all departments. Overall, the sharpness, the edge that's important in a performance, particularly scoring goals, them driving in the box, looking more alive than we were defensively. Miles off it today, and a strange one because we were really on it last weekend. That's what it's got to be. We're finding consistency. I used that word constantly last season about consistency, week to week and in a performance, and that was badly lacking today. Well, they've got the opposite contrast. So, sometimes that's life as a manager. You look at it, you train well, you organise, you get all the details into the players and have a collective down day, which was today. I mean, mistakes as well don't help, of course, but, it's for everyone to correct that. You can't wait for someone else to correct it, and I just spoke to the players about that. Everyone's got to make a difference, The learning we've had, or I've sort of learned from the last couple of seasons, it's been a bit like that. Good one week, miles off the next week. We've got to find consistency.
He's not a happy man, Sean Dyche, and quite rightly so. His Everton side losing 4-0 this afternoon away at Aston Villa off the back of a 1-0 home defeat against Fulham last week when they didn't play particularly badly, and quite frankly they should have won. Mikhailo Mudryk is coming on, the Ukrainian international. He will be starting the second half for Chelsea. The teams are just coming out, and we'll be back with Billy Andrews for all of the action as it unfolds in the second half between our 2 teams from London this afternoon who are keeping us entertained here on Football Live. All the live Premier League action, second half coming up for West Ham United against Chelsea.
You are listening to Football Live. Live and exclusive on Brila FM.
The Premier League, the Bundesliga, Serie A, La Liga.
4 hours of football every Saturday and Sunday on Brila FM with Football Live.
You are listening to Football Live on Brila FM 88.9 and 101.1 FM.
Yes, indeed. Now, it seems like 5 minutes ago that Theo Walcott was a raw 17-year-old that hadn't even played in the Premier League. Sven-Göran Eriksson, then the England manager, called him up for a World Cup squad. Never ended up playing in the World Cup, but it was to set him up for what was to be a fabulous career. Most of his headlines, shall we say, were made during his time as an Arsenal player, of course a regular for many years for England. This week, Theo Walcott announced to the world that he was retiring from playing football.
Yep, so I'm officially going to be hanging up my boots. It's very scary, I can't lie. It's scary because football's all I've known. It's from the age of 16 or even younger, and obviously going to the World Cup yourself. Yeah. I want to just try new things. I never really experienced. I feel like things evolve around football for me. And now it does, but it can also look somewhere else as well. Yeah, so I had offers abroad and some championship teams, some very good championship teams. Yeah, so there's been some Saudi offers, but I just don't feel like that's not where I want to see myself playing, to be honest. Nothing against the money or the league. I just feel like right now, if my heart's not into playing football, it's not found the clubs, it's not found me. I'm not going to earn myself a contract when I'm not going to be putting 100% into it. It just doesn't sit pretty with me.
So there is Theo Walcott, no longer a player. He's hung up his boots, and we will wait to see what happens in the next phase of his career, whether it be in media or maybe coaching. We shall wait and see. But all the very best to him. Fabulous player during his peak, that is for sure. Theo Walcott this week announcing his retirement from football as a player. They're often underway in the second half in 2 of our featured games. Eintracht Frankfurt against Darmstadt has just got underway in the Bundesliga. In the Premier League, West Ham against Chelsea has just got underway. The final whistle has just blown in the game between RKC Waalwijk and RZ Alkmaar. And it's a game of 2 halves, Johnny Holmes. And in the end, the Greek goal machine came good.
Absolutely. Well, the upshot is that AZ Alkmaar hit the top of the Dutch Eredivisie there with their second win in 2 matches after dispatching the go-ahead Eagles in their first game rather comfortably. It wasn't all that plain sailing here, as you say. Cleonise had a shot from close range that was blocked. Turns out, though, it was handball at close range, and the pen was converted by Kramer. In the second half, AZ came out of the blocks fighting, and it was, as you said, Pavlidis who led the line brilliantly. He got 2 of the goals, De Witt got the other. Pavlidis with an absolutely sterling second half performance. Top of the league, AZ, they dispatch of RKC and march forth.
Thank you very much for that. And thank you very much for the reports this afternoon as well, Johnny Holmes. He was on the show yesterday. He's had a busy weekend. At the Mandamaker Stadium, AZ Alkmaar coming from 1-0 down to win 3-1 at RKC Valvik in our second of 2 games that we've featured in the Eredivisie. As I said before, a lot of the games in Spain and Italy and Portugal that we normally cover, they're a little bit later on in the day at the moment because it's so hot in those countries. But once it starts to cool down in the next 2 or 3 weeks, I'm sure we'll be focusing our attentions on more and more of those games. Whilst we're talking about Italy, by the way, I can tell you there has been a goal in a game in Italy, and I'm just trying to find it because it was put underneath my nose and somebody has taken it away. That's what you get when you rely on producers, you know. But anyway, I'll bring that goal to you in a second. Let's quickly unbury myself and head back to the London Stadium. Early stages of the second half, Billy Andrews and Mykhailo Mudryk is on for Chelsea.
Yeah, that's right. Kane Chukwuemeka off for that injury, and Chelsea have replaced a man who's just scored his first goal for Chelsea with a man who's still looking for his first goal for Chelsea. I did say he has struggled to settle really, or to display what he showed at Shakhtar, Mykhailo Mudryk, but he's gone up alongside Nicholas Jackson and Raheem Sterling. So expect him to see plenty of the ball. Was West Ham 5.25 for a draw, and West Ham 5.25. It's 2.88 for a draw and 2.0 on NairaBet for the Chelsea win. As Mikel Antonio is just fouled by Axel Disasi. Disasi's got to be careful because he's already been booked. It's a lazy challenge by Disasi. Just goes into the back of Antonio. Actually, I think the referee's given that the other way, which is strange because it looked like Disasi gone through the back of Mikel Antonio, but with his handball decisions given in the first couple of weeks of the Premier League, clearly I don't know the rules anymore. But of course those odds are subject to change on NairaBet. But 47 minutes gone, the Ukrainian Mudryk is on. It's West Ham 1, Chelsea 1.
Thank you very much, Billy, and you can be sure that we will be back with Billy Andrews as and when the action unfolds. And if it's anything like the first half, we'll be along there quite often in the next 40 minutes or so. It's 4:45. We're into the last 45 minutes of what still is going to be a very exciting show in the Bundesliga. Let's go into the Bundesliga now. Early stages of the second half. Eintracht Frankfurt against Darmstadt. Watching this one for us is Ryan Benjamin.
Yeah, Frankfurt 1-0 up, looking very confident in the second half. Kolo Muani scored his goal from close range. And again, he's a very good player. You can see why PSG are so interested in him. Basically, whenever he gets the ball, Darmstadt just try and bring him down whichever way they can because they can't cope with him. It reminds me a little bit of Alexander Isak at Newcastle. He's very good on the ball, very good technically, and has the confidence to get it down and take players on. He's quite slippery, you can't really get hold of him. And Darmstadt struggling really to pin him down. It's still 1-0. There's about 53 minutes gone in the derby. 1-0 to Frankfurt.
Thank you very much. Latest odds in that game, by the way. 1.17 for the Frankfurt victory. They're looking good for that win, aren't they? 7.00 for the draw with NairaBet. And the very latest odds, subject to change, in fact, they've just gone up. 29.00 for Darmstadt to score twice and come back and win that game in the game that we're featuring this afternoon on Football Live with Ryan Benjamin at the Stadion Dushbank Park. As always, those NairaBet bets or odds are subject to change. Now, tomorrow night in the Premier League, Arsenal are in action away at Crystal Palace. This week, Crystal Palace secured Michael Olise on a new contract. He turned down Chelsea, deciding to stay instead with Crystal Palace. And that news delighted the Crystal Palace manager, Roy Hodgson.
It's the best possible news that we could have. We've been concerned, as one is concerned, when a club of Chelsea's stature start to take an interest in a player, suggest that a move to them might be the best bet. I've always hoped that that wouldn't be the case, and that Michael would realise that at such a young age, his future here is very bright, and we can help him move very quickly to another level if that's going to happen in time. But of course, his decision has been his, and I'm just delighted now that the club, and I must congratulate Steve Parish and Doug Freeman on the fantastic job they've done in persuading him that, with this pressure from the outside, and that this is your place, this is where we think you will progress.
I'm interested to see if he plays any part tomorrow night. Should be a good game, that one. Crystal Palace against Arsenal. That's tomorrow evening in the final game of the weekend in the Premier League. We'll be heading back to the Brila FM studios and to Yinka in just a few minutes' time. You might want to get in touch in whatever way. Call in on social media, Twitter, or X as it's known now, Facebook, whatever way you want to. Get in touch. We'd love to hear from you. Arsenal fans out there, what are your chances tomorrow night in the game away at Crystal Palace? Are you the real deal this year? What you've seen so far, have you closed the gap on Manchester City? Are you better than what Chelsea have got to offer? Are you better than what Liverpool have got to offer? Are you the real deal, Arsenal fans? Be good to hear from you later on when we head back to Yinka and the team at Brila FM in around about 3.5 minutes from now. In the meantime, though, we're going to head back into what is now receding sunshine in East London, not West London. Well, the West London side have clawed their way back in East London. It's 1-1. Billy Andrews, how's the last 5 minutes been unfolding?
Well, a few moments ago, we had a fantastic chance for West Ham to take the lead in this game once again. Bit of a miscue and a lack of communication between Axel Disasi and Gusto. They left side Ben Rama completely unmarked. The ball was played over the top by James Ward-Prowse. Ben Rama completely free, running through on goal. He was onside, the flag didn't go up, but they just managed to force him onto his left foot, and he cut across goal, and it just bent away from the post. It was always bending away. And in the end, it caused Robert Sanchez absolutely no issues at all. Mykhailo Mudryk struggling to get any touches. Chelsea's play largely coming down their right-hand side with Raheem Sterling, I should say. But get ready, Chelsea fans. You're about to see Moises Caicedo. He's warming up, ready to come on. So still 1-1 with 53 minutes gone.
You are listening to Football Live. Live and exclusive on Brila FM.
The Goals, powered by NairaBet.
There's been a goal in the game at West Ham United against Chelsea, and it's gone to West Ham United. They are back in front. They've given the ball away cheaply, Chelsea, and Mikel Antonio has gone into the penalty area. Still plenty of work to do. He's shot through the legs of the defender and into the far corner. It's West Ham United that lead by 2-1. To tell us in a little bit more detail about that very important goal at the London Stadium for Mikel Antonio is our very own Billy Andrews.
Yeah, it was a fantastic goal from Mikel Antonio, and it's that new man again, James Ward-Prowse, with his second assist on his debut for West Ham. Axel Disasi gives the ball away cheaply, falls to James Ward-Prowse. It's a lovely first time lofted pass through to Mikel Antonio. Like you said, Barry, he had everything still to do. He powers between Disasi and Colwill, fires it through the legs of Axel Disasi. Robert Sanchez just gets his fingertips to it, but the power on it from the Jamaica international is far too much. And at the London Stadium, Chelsea were on top, but now it's West Ham United 2, Chelsea 1.
Well, Chelsea fans, what are your thoughts on that? We'll be handing back to Yinka and the team at Brila FM in just a few seconds' time. Let me tell you, I saw a goal pop up on my screen. It was in Italy and it disappeared. I thought I was going mad. I wasn't. Andrea Bellotti scored the goal, and it's Roma 1, Salernitana 0. So Andrea Bellotti with the goal, the Italian international. Scores lots of goals for Italy, and he's just gone and scored for Roma, and he doesn't score many goals for Roma. That is a rare goal for him. He played 31 times for Roma without scoring before today. At last, he scored 232 appearances for Torino, 100 goals, and finally, he's found a goal for Roma. We'll be straight across again for more updates. West Ham United against Chelsea. West Ham, of course, 2-1 up. Let's head back now, though, to Yinka and the team at Brila FM. Good afternoon to you, Yinka.
This is a commercial break exclusive to Nigeria and Africa alone. But don't worry, Football Live will be back very, very shortly.
Sports Radio 88.9 Brila FM.
You are listening to Football Live. Live and exclusive on Brila FM.
The Premier League, the Bundesliga, Serie A, La Liga.
4 hours of football every Saturday and Sunday on Brila FM with Football Live.
You are listening to Football Live on Brila FM 88.9 and 101.1 FM.
Take Brila anywhere, everywhere.
Yes, you can take Brila with you anywhere, everywhere.
The Brila app is available for free download on Google Play. It is also there on the Apple iTunes Store. Yes, on Google Play and the Apple iTunes Store.
Look out for the Brila football and microphone logo with the letters BRILA in green colour.
That is our authentic app. It gives you Brila FM, Brila.net, BrilaSports.tv and all the extra betting tips, live score, plus our Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Google Plus and YouTube posts.
Sports fun. You can post your videos and eyewitness reports.
Brila, B-R-I-L-A. Available for download on Google Play and the Apple iTunes Store.
This is Football Live. And you could not have scripted this.
It's crazy, absolutely insane.
Oh my dearie me. I don't want to laugh or cry.
It's a show that's packed to the brim. Oh my word, what is going on here? An unbelievable day here on Football Live.
There's action everywhere you look. Great entertainment.
That's fantastic.
Wow, just wow.
You are listening to Football Live. Live and exclusive on Brila FM.
You are listening to Football Live. Powered by NairaBet. With Barry Swain.
Yes, good afternoon and a very warm welcome once again to Football Live. Let's head back straight away to the London Stadium. 62 minutes on the clock. Chelsea huffing and puffing, looking for an equaliser, and going to catch up with Billy Andrews, who can tell us a bit about a change for Chelsea. Caicedo coming on.
Yeah, the boy from Santo Domenico, bought from Brighton, is on for Chelsea. Over £100 million, more than 25 times actually what Brighton paid for him initially. He's on. Chelsea have gone from a 3 at the back to a 4 at the back, with Levi Colwill moving to left back. Obviously, Thiago Silva and Axel Disasi at centre back, and Gusto at right back, because Ben Chilwell's come off for Caicedo. So it's Gallagher, Caicedo and Fernandes. Chelsea just struggling to make anything happen really, but they've had 77% possession. They've had 420 passes completed, which is 4 times more than West Ham, and they've had 23 touches in the West Ham box. West Ham have only had 9, but of course 2 of those led to goals, and it is 1.67 for a West Ham win, 3.30 for a draw, and 7.0 for a Chelsea win on NairaBet, of course, all subject to change. We are going to see a change for West Ham. Edson Alvarez is going to come on to make his West Ham debut in the Premier League. Of course, the Mexican defensive midfielder brought in from Ajax, mainly as a replacement for Declan Rice, but he can also play at centre-back. But 64 minutes gone. It's West Ham United 2, Chelsea 1.
Still 2-1 to West Ham United against Chelsea. 65 minutes gone, and this game is starting to, you would think, maybe run away from Chelsea if they're not careful. 2-1 down. They've been behind twice this afternoon. Can they come back again? They came back last week against Liverpool. Can they come back against West Ham for a second time this afternoon? Let's head into our game in the Bundesliga, because half-time it looked all very comfortable for Eintracht Frankfurt, leading at half-time against the team that we're expecting to struggle, Darmstadt. I can tell you Darmstadt have come very, very close to an equalising goal in this game. And watching this game for us is Ryan Benjamin.
Yes, a flurry of chances. Luca Pfeiffer, the on-loan centre-forward, hits the post with a header. It rebounds back into the box, and Christoph Klärer volleys it towards goal. It hits one of his own teammates and bounces up in the air, and then Marvin Melm heads the ball over from close range. Darmstadt probably won't come closer to scoring without actually putting the ball in the net. It was right in front of their bank of fans who haven't shut up the whole game. They've been jumping and bouncing and waving their flags, and they would have really been jumping if that had gone in. 1-0, 68 minutes gone.
Yes, thank you very much for that, Ryan. Into the last half an hour of the show, another chance for West Ham United. That would have put the game to bed. We'll be back with Billy in just a second to hear about that. First of all, let's turn our attentions back to the earlier game today in the Premier League. Aston Villa 4, Everton 0. We heard earlier on from a rather unhappy Sean Dyche. I should imagine his opposite number, Unai Emery, was a slightly happier man than he was this time last week.
Good afternoon. Yes, of course, before the match we were waiting how is coming our response here at home with our supporter, but really amazing because I think we controlled the game and we were in 90 minutes strong in our structure defensively, and then we deserved to win, and of course we avoided the situation defensively in the transition where they are very good team, and I am very happy.
That was the Aston Villa manager, Unai Emery, happy after a 4-0 victory against Everton earlier on today. They've levelled off that goal difference, haven't they? Let's head back, shall we, to the game that's being played between West Ham United and Chelsea. Billy Andrews, last time we were with you, West Ham 2-1 up, holding tight. They just had a good chance. It seems a very open game, and you wouldn't rule out being another goal in this game.
Fantastically open fixture, and yeah, there could be a goal. At the moment it looks like it's going to come for West Ham, but this is why we love football, anything can happen. But the chance for West Ham fell to Ben Rama. Lovely volley through a crowd, just went wide of Robert Sanchez's right hand post. But once again it came from a James Ward-Prowse corner. Now, last season, compared to West Ham players, he created more than double Aaron Cresswell's 21. He created 43 chances for them, but still 2-1 with 67 minutes gone.
Thank you very much for that, Billy, and we'll be straight back to Billy in just a few moments' time, I'm sure.
You are listening to Football Live. Live and exclusive on Brila FM.
Game changer? I think there might be a game changer in the game at the London Stadium. Not a goal, but a red card. Nayef Aguerd started the afternoon so very, very well. What a powerful header to give West Ham a lead. West Ham are still ahead by 2-1, but he's just picked up his second yellow card. And to tell us all about it, watching this game at the London Stadium, is Billy Andrews.
You silly, silly boy. He's gone from hero to potentially villain for West Ham United, has Nayef Aguerd. I don't know what he was thinking. He's absolutely nowhere near getting Nicholas Jackson. Takes out both legs. Both legs are planted on the floor. So he takes out both of them. He leaps into it and swipes at shin height, just below his knee, with one of his legs. Referee had absolutely no choice but to brandish a second yellow card and a red. So it is only a one-match ban for Nayef Aguerd. But what on earth are you thinking? Your team are 2-1 up with just over 20 minutes to go. You're on top, you're cruising, a rush of blood to the head, and all of a sudden you're down to 10 men. Luckily, I did say that Edson Alvarez can play at centre-back, but Pablo Fornals is also being ready to come on as Chelsea kind of waste the free kick that resulted from it. But now, Chelsea, you would think, favourites to get the equaliser and possibly go on to win this. Can West Ham hold on? Just over 20 minutes to go. It's still 2-1 at the London Stadium.
Yeah, and the odds of Naira bet have fluctuated as a result of that. West Ham are now up to 1.91 for the victory. They need to hold out for another 21 minutes, down to 10 men in that game. The draw has been dropped to 2.88 and a Chelsea victory 6.0 after they saw West Ham reduced to 10 men. Now it's all about Chelsea attack in search of that equaliser for West Ham, and for David Moyes, his side needs to regroup, reorganise, stay tight, stay composed, and hope that they can keep Chelsea at arm's length. We'll be back with Billy Andrews very shortly for an update on that game. But Chelsea against 10 men, 2-1 down at West Ham at the London Stadium, promises to be a dramatic final few minutes in that game. Chances are that match might well finish after the end of the show at past. But of course, Yinka and all the team will keep you posted with all the very late action in that game if it does happen to carry on over the 6:30 deadline for Football Live this afternoon. There is a little bit of a going on at the moment between Paqueta and Gallagher, and Paqueta's a little bit infuriated by being pushed by Gallagher. I'm sure Billy will be able to give us a little bit more information on that as I'm watching it from the corner of my eye. Eintracht Frankfurt currently 1.14 latest odds, subject to change of course with Naira Bet. They're 1-0 up, 7.00 for the draw, 51.0 for Darmstadt to come back. Let's head back, shall we, to the Bundesliga quickly. Let's get an update from Ryan Benjamin. Eintracht Frankfurt still in front, but it's proven to be a very nervous afternoon for their supporters.
Yeah, I think Darmstadt are a little bit more solid than maybe they thought they would be. Of course, it's their first game back after being promoted from Bundesliga 2. And they've put up a good showing, to be fair. They haven't created that many chances other than that kind of flurry of opportunities earlier. Frankfurt have passed the ball around and been very smart with their play, really. They took the sting out of it. And Dino Topmöller, the kind of football that he wants to play, could be very promising for Frankfurt. And Darmstadt's still in it, though. It's still 1-0 with 75 minutes to go. 75 minutes gone, sorry.
75 minutes gone, 71 and a half minutes gone in the game between West Ham and Chelsea. Just mentioned Paqueta and Gallagher had a little coming together. There's a yellow card for Nicholas Jackson as well. How did that coming together end up, Billy?
Well, it all came about from what looks to me like a dive from Paqueta. Conor Gallagher, jumps in front of him, but there's no contact made with the Brazilian attacking midfielder. He goes down. Conor Gallagher looks round and tells him to get up. They then have a little coming together. Conor Gallagher shoves him in the shoulder. He goes down like he's been sniped from someone in the stands. And while he's on the floor having what I can only describe as a hissy fit, Nicholas Jackson tries to pick him up. He reacts like, get off me. Nicholas Jackson has a word with the referee, and hence he's been booked as well. Messy, immature from Lucas Paquetá. If Man City are watching, I think on the basis of this display, they'd run a mile away, but 72 minutes gone. West Ham looking to hold on. We're still waiting to see Edson Alvarez come on. Ogbonna is on for Saeed Ben Rama. It's still West Ham 2, Chelsea 1.
Excellent, thank you very much. Roma 1, Salernitana 1, an equaliser from Antonio Candreva after just 36 minutes in that game. So an equaliser against the form book there. Roma on the opening day of the season will be looking to get off to a winning start with their first home game. But having taken the lead earlier on in the game, they now find themselves 1-1 there. Right, let's hear, shall we, from Bruno Fernandes. He was a disappointed man yesterday, the Manchester United captain, after his side lost 2-0 at Spurs.
Yeah, there were chances we didn't score. I started myself. I had a big chance that I have to score. I have to take that one. It takes us on the lead, and the result could have been different. We played probably much better than we actually did against Wolverhampton, but we didn't get any points today. So sometimes it's just find a way to win the game. Score goals, get our chances, be more active when we have the chances, ruthless. And as I said, we have to take our chances and score the goals, because if we don't, and after we give space to them to counter, and they have a good team, they have good players, and they scored.
So that was Bruno Fernandes. Manchester United very disappointing in the second half. They should have done perhaps better and got their noses in front in the first half against Spurs. They didn't, and they were made to pay in the end. Spurs winning by 2-0 at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Let's head back to the game between West Ham and Chelsea. Billy Andrews is watching this one. Another chance for Chelsea. It's a bit defence against attack at the moment, isn't it?
It is indeed, and I think we've just seen a perfect example of why Mykhailo Mudrik's yet to score his first goal for Chelsea, but it was a lovely move between Raheem Sterling and Gusto down that right-hand side for Chelsea. It's where all their danger's coming from. Gusto whipped it in, it went over the head of everybody, fell to Mudryk, unmarked, took a touch, went to take it around Angelo Ogbonna, the substitute, completely lost his footing and fell over as Axel Disasi tries to whip one in towards Nicholas Jackson, but that's gone into the crowd. So 74 minutes gone, Chelsea pushing, West Ham holding on. Here's Noni Madueke coming on for Chelsea. Of course, the former PSV man. He's coming on for Conor Gallagher. So it tells you what Mauricio Pochettino's doing, throwing on another attacker for a midfielder. They've got just over 15 minutes to go. Can they nick it at the London Stadium? It's still 2-1 to West Ham.
1.91 for the West Ham victory, which is the way it's heading at the moment, if they can just keep it nice and tight. 2.88 for the draw, subject to change, of course, these odds with NairaBet. 6.0 for Chelsea to now come back and win this game. They need 2 goals for that to happen, but they are playing against 10 men. Antonio holding the ball up at the moment and winning a free kick for West Ham United. Big cheers from the West Ham United fans who are happy that their side have just won a free kick. Saicedo with the frustrating foul. There's been another substitution just about to take place. West Ham are changing things up. They're actually taking off Antonio. I thought he's been doing quite well holding the ball up with the 10 men of West Ham, but they're going to change things around. Billy will come and tell us a little about that in a few moments' time, but it's still West Ham United 2, Chelsea 1. Pablo Fornals on for Mikel Antonio. So far, West Ham 9 shots, 3 on target. Chelsea 14 shots, 3 on target. And like Billy said earlier, they are not terrific stats in front of goal from Chelsea. They need to be more clinical. They need a striker that is going to put the ball in the back of the net. That is something that is sadly lacking. And once again this afternoon, that is a fact that has been underlined. Chelsea behind at West Ham. Not the start that they would have wanted if they lose this one. 1 point from 6 in their opening 2 games in a season where they must improve on last season. Let's go back to Billy Andrews. 4 hours on. It's been a very easy game to watch, isn't it? And it's very open and entertaining. I just mentioned it. It is like watching defence against attack at the moment, isn't it?
It is indeed. Yeah, it looks like Edson Alvarez might be finally getting ready to come on. He's just receiving some tactical insight from Kevin Nolan on the West Ham subs bench, but I thought he was coming on about 20 minutes ago. He's been stood there in his kit ready to come on for a good 25 minutes now, but Pablo Fornals is on. Jared Bowen looks like he's gone through the middle, and Pablo Fornals out to the right, but they were right. Mikel Antonio holding the ball up fantastically for West Ham. That strength, that physicality he's got, that burst of pace that he showed in his goal, and the power behind the shot as well was absolutely fantastic. And I will just say one thing: if it does stay 2-1, you'd be hard pressed to find a better choice for man of the match than the man on his debut, James Ward-Prowse, with 2 assists. But we'll have to wait and see what happens in the next 15 minutes or so. It's still 2-1 to West Ham.
Plenty of new signings on show, and I have to agree with you, Billy. With all the new signings on show, he's been the one that stood out from what I've seen of the game in front of me whilst presenting here on Football Live this afternoon. Chelsea still chasing this game. Every single outfield player is currently in the West Ham United half as Chelsea string together some passes deep inside the West Ham half. Still 2-1 to West Ham. We'll be back with Billy Andrews in just a second. Let's quickly head into the Bundesliga. Eintracht Frankfurt against Darmstadt. It's not been one-way traffic despite the home side winning as expected. It is only 1-0, and our reporter watching this one is Ryan Benjamin.
Yeah, well, it's still 1-0. Anything can happen. Darmstadt have had a bit of joy with a free kick which hit the post a little while ago. But apart from that, they haven't created a great deal. But the derby is still nicely poised here at 1-0 with around 10 minutes left. Darmstadt, again, not really threatening too much, but they're giving it a good go, and anything could happen in this final 10 minutes. 1-0 to Frankfurt with about 10 minutes to go.
Well, there's VAR in a game that we were going to be covering today on Football Live. It was due to kick off at 4:30, Girona against Getafe. Then they decided to put the game back to 6 o'clock kickoff. So it's just started. We're not going to feature it after that change of kickoff, which literally was just 48 hours before the game is actually taking place. Girona 1, Getafe 0, but VAR are having a look at that. West Ham United have just seen a Chelsea cross flashed across goal at the other end. We've seen a shot from Bowen, which is saved by the goalkeeper. Billy Andrews, it's not all one-way traffic because West Ham have just gone forward and created an opportunity.
Yeah, it's not all one-way traffic, and I must say it's fantastic work from Jared Bowen up against Levi Colwill, and Axel Dizazi holds the ball up fantastically well. Spoke about the strength of Mikel Antonio, and it's a wicked shot, bounced just in front of Sanchez. He didn't hold on to it first time, but there was no one in the box to follow it up. Lovely pass from Pablo Fornals, the substitute. But yeah, just over 10 minutes to go, and it really is anyone's game. West Ham still holding on, still 2-1 at the London Stadium.
Substitutes here, substitutes there, substitutes just about everywhere in the game at the London Stadium at the moment. And, well, it's his first Premier League game for a while, Ward-Prowse, and he is coming off to what can only be described as a standing ovation for the majority of the crowd inside the London Stadium this afternoon. And we'll be back with Billy to keep you up to date with all of the action in the game this afternoon. Edson Alvarez on, James Ward-Prowse off, as West Ham United into the last 10 minutes are holding on grimly. A big chance in that game, though. Billy Andrews has gone the way of Chelsea.
Yeah, another chance for Chelsea, another one from distance. This time it's great work between Noni Madueke and Gusto down that right-hand side. That right-hand side is where all of the danger has come for Chelsea this afternoon. As like you say, James Ward-Prowse, my choice for man of the match. I think he'd be everyone in the London Stadium, and Claret and Blue's choice for man of the match. 2 assists on his debut, but the ball was whipped in by Gusto, headed away by Ogbonna. Fell to Levi Colwill, now playing at left back. First time shot, just about a foot wide of Areola's post. But now Edson Alvarez on to try and shore things up for West Ham. They've got just over 10 minutes to hold on plus added time. They're still leading 2-1.
Last 15 minutes, one shot apiece, one on target from West Ham, nothing from Chelsea. They've had 4 touches in the opposition box. West Ham haven't touched the ball in the Chelsea box. 77% possession in the last 15 minutes from Chelsea. They need to make it count with a chance that hits the back of the net. We'll keep a close eye on that. Billy Andrews is our reporter and will be our reporter for the final, 12 minutes or so of the show. Now, Football Live wouldn't be Football Live if we couldn't hear from the very, very good Ange Postecoglou. He's made a big change at Spurs. He's lost Harry Kane, but he's won the crowd over.
Yeah, pleased. Pleased for the players and absolutely delighted for the fans. They were outstanding today right from the first minute. The atmosphere they created, and like I said, pleased for the players. It wasn't an easy afternoon for us, especially in the first half. We looked a bit nervous and we had to work our way through that. But I thought second half we showed some really outstanding attributes and great to get the win. So we had a really young team out there. We had a couple of 20-year-olds, a couple of 22 or 23-year-olds, and I just thought we looked a little bit edgy. But I thought towards the end of the first half there were some signs there that they were starting to settle down a bit, and I just thought the second half, from the moment we kicked off, we were on the front foot, and the boys were brave playing our football.
So there you are. It's Ange Postecoglou, the Tottenham manager. Great win for them yesterday, 2-0 against Manchester United at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Billy Andrews is watching our game this afternoon. The big match, West Ham United 2, Chelsea 1. 83 minutes on the clock. Chelsea just forced the corner. It's all Chelsea, Chelsea, Chelsea. But West Ham are not making it easy for Chelsea at all, are they? They're defending stoutly.
Yeah, defending absolutely fantastically. Edson Alvarez just got a massive roar from the crowd, blocking a shot from Noni Madueke that went out for a corner. There's a substitute's appearance for Burstow for Chelsea. There's really is struggling, Mykhailo Mudryk, to create anything. Like I said, all that chance for Chelsea, all their chances have come down that right-hand side. He's really struggled to create anything, but it's still 2-1 to West Ham. They're still holding on, and you are listening to Football Live.
Listening to Football Live on Brila FM.
Some of the best start from the streets of Africa. This is not just a game. It's a feeling within us. It's expressive. It's a passion. Play for the fun, play for the thrill, play responsibly. Proudly African, bet with the best, NairaBet.
Coming up next Saturday on Football Live with Dean Kilford. Join us live and exclusive from 1 o'clock, including Arsenal taking on Fulham. Premier League action. Football Live will be around the grounds chasing the goals.
You are listening to Football Live. Live and exclusive on Brila FM.
The Premier League, the Bundesliga, Serie A, La Liga.
4 hours of football every Saturday and Sunday on Brila FM with Football Live.
You are listening to Football Live on Brila FM 88.9 and 101.1 FM.
You are listening to Football Live, powered by NairaBet, with Barry Swain.
Welcome back to Football Live for what is about 8 minutes of the show remaining. We're unlikely to see the final whistle in at the game between West Ham and Chelsea at the London Stadium, because that's going to blow in injury time. So we'll be over to Yinka and the team at Brila FM to take you through your paces in deep injury time. I don't know how many minutes that will be yet, likely to be quite a few. Let's head back low to the London Stadium for the here and now. Billy Andrews, big chance for Chelsea. It fell to Mudryk. It wasn't very well executed, was it?
It was absolutely awful. We're talking Sunday League levels of composure from a man who cost 100 million euros almost. It's again, the ball comes in from that right-hand side, the danger area for Chelsea from Noni Madueke. Completely misses everybody, falls to Mudryk, and he's got time to take a touch, but he decides to volley it with the outside of his foot first time, and it swerves out for what would have been a throw, but it touched Raheem Sterling, and Sterling was offside. So he really is struggling. West Ham, absolutely fantastic defending with 10 men. Lucas Paquetá, must be said, since his hissy fit, has been defending really, really well. So David Moyes will be pleased to see that from his Samba star. But over 4 minutes to go plus added time. It's still West Ham 2, Chelsea 1.
Thank you very much, Billy. In Italy, half time in the game between Sassuolo and Atalanta. Ademola Lookman is playing in that game. He's partnering Daniel Zapata in attack. 0-0 at half-time in that game. No chances really yet for either side in a game that is very cagey. And it's looking like it's going to be a very tight game in the second half there. Can Ademola Lookman be a Nigerian on the score sheet in the Italian Serie A, just like Victor Osimhen was, of course, yesterday. And we heard that right here on Football Live when he scored 2 goals in a 3-1 victory on the opening day for Napoli. Great start to the season for them. We're into the last 5 minutes. Let's head back to the London Stadium. Every tackle, Paquetá's just won a tackle and he celebrated it like he's won the lottery. Billy, they're holding on and David Moyes' side are edging closer to what would be a fabulous victory for them.
Yeah, it would be an absolutely monumentous win for West Ham United, and particularly David Moyes. Moyes' Caicedo gave that free kick away on Lucas Paquetá. Really struggled to find any rhythm in this game since he's come on. I know he's not had long, but I think he was so good at Brighton. He will settle in this Chelsea team, I've no doubt about that, and go on to be a fantastic player for them. But for the here and now, he's really struggled against West Ham. And questions are going to be asked of Mauricio Pochettino and Chelsea. You know, we saw all the questions asked of Manchester United after their loss to Spurs yesterday, and people asking Roy Keane, well, are they title challengers? And he said absolutely no chance. And off the basis of this, 1 point in 6 games for Chelsea is looking like. Perhaps you'd say the same thing about the Blues from London. So 2 minutes plus added time to go in the London Stadium. It's West Ham United with 10 men, 2, Chelsea 1.
Thank you very much, Billy. We're back to you between now and the end of the show. Just seen a ball scooped over the top by Enzo Fernandez. It was pitiful, and it just scooped over the top straight into the goalkeeper's arms. He's got just about everyone ahead of him, all waiting for a pass or something. But Chelsea absolutely livid with that ball over the top from Enzo Fernandez. Dizazi has just caught Bowen from behind as well, so it'll be a free kick to West Ham, and they'll be grateful for that free kick just inside the Chelsea half-time. Roma 1, Salernitana 1. I can tell you Monaco are leading 1-0 after 20 minutes in French Ligue 1 against Strasbourg. A goal from the former Liverpool man Takumi Minamino has given them the lead. And Porto in Portugal lead Forenza by 1-0. Tony Martinez has scored that goal. No surprise, really, that they're ahead, because the Stadio del Dragao have met 15 times in the league before. Porto have won 14, they've drawn 1, and they've never lost in a competitive fixture against that opposition, and it doesn't look like they're going to do so today. Porto 1, Tony Martinez with a goal. Forenza 0. Let's head back to the London Stadium. 6 minutes of added time, and Billy, just looking at the monitor here, there was a close chance for West Ham United.
Yeah, close for West Ham United, but I think David Moyes will be really happy with how his team have settled into this game. But Caicedo giving the ball away again for Chelsea. It fell to Fornals, who won it back from Caicedo. He jinxed past Thiago Silva. It's a good save from Sanchez, who understandably not happy with the veteran defender. But again, another golden opportunity, but it is that lack of cutting edge up front for Chelsea that's cost them in this game, similar to how it cost them another 2 points against Liverpool on the opening weekend. So Mauricio Pochettino maybe has to go back to Todd Boehly and see how deep those pockets are, see if there's any more money left for a striker possibly. They have spent disgusting amounts of money already, but let's see if they can find a striker between now and the 1st of September. Still 2-1 as we go into the 4th minute, as we go into the 2nd minute, I should say, of added time.
Thank you very much, Billy. We've got just under 2 minutes left of the show, so we will be passing back to Yinka and the team at Brila FM, and they can bring you news of that game as it unfolds in injury time. Chelsea have a corner if something happens, and I will, of course, head back again to Billy Andrews, but that corner has been cleared, and West Ham have managed to recycle the second ball, and Fornals has cleared upfield. So elsewhere, the game between Aston Villa and Everton this afternoon, we've heard from both managers, Unai Emery and Sean Dyche. Aston Villa 4, Everton 0. Not a good start to the season for Everton. Manchester City sitting near the top of the table, yet to concede. They beat Newcastle last night in the late game 1-0. Tottenham 2, Manchester United 0 is a result from the late game yesterday. 3 games kicking off in the afternoon. Fulham 0, Brentford 3. Very good win that for Fulham. 2 goals in that game from Brian Mbumo. Liverpool coming from behind with 10 men to beat Bournemouth 3-1 at Anfield. Wolves 1, Brighton 4. Brighton at it again. And on Friday night, Nottingham Forest 2, Sheffield United 1. A result in the Premier League. Quick reminder that we are back on Football Live next Saturday. Don't forget to join Dean Kilford from 1 o'clock in the afternoon. We'll have the lunchtime kick-off, Bournemouth against Tottenham, followed by some great games in the afternoon. Arsenal against Fulham, Manchester United against Nottingham Forest, Everton against Wolves, and the derby, Brentford against Crystal Palace. We'll also be keeping a close eye on Dortmund in the Bundesliga. Thank you very much to all our reporters today. Duka Dobma, Ryan Benjamin, Johnny Holmes, Cameron Wilson, Richard Bond, and of course Billy Andrews, who's been watching the game at Chelsea against West Ham. Thank you also to John Kane, our producer. We'll be back again next Saturday. Thank you very much for joining us here on Brila FM and Football Live.
Today's show was produced by John Kane and powered by Hollandia Civita and our official betting partner, NairaBet.